Dear Lord, baby Jesus, as our brothers in the South call you Jesus, we thank you so much for this bountiful harvest of Domino's, KFC, and as always, the delicious Taco Bell. I just want to take some time to say thank you for my family. Two beautiful, handsome, striking sons, Walker and Texas Ranger, or TR, as we call him. And of course, my red-hot, smoking wife, Carly, who is a stone-cold fox. Who, if you would rate her ass on 100, it would easily be a 94.
Yep.
I also want to thank you for my best friend and teammate, Cal Naughton Jr., who is my back, got my back, no matter what. Dear Lord, baby Jesus, we also thank you for my wife's father, Chip. We hope that you can use your baby Jesus powers to heal him and his horrible leg. It smells so terrible, and the dogs are always bothering him with it. Dear infant, tiny baby Jesus, lastly, we thank you for the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic, the podcast where the guy is talking to a guy about his future and how miniatures will help you build a new life. This was generated by hitting the suggested text on my phone. What's with your fascination with baby Jesus?
He's just a little baby. He's a sweet and innocent savior.
I've definitely seen that movie. It's the NASCAR movie with Will Ferrell. What's it called?
Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights.
The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
I saw that in high school after we were doing 2-a-day practices for soccer because there are like weird rules about sports for like kids. I don't know if do you know this?
Mm-hmm.
They can't start like practicing at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I did this, but in the summer leading up to school, we had 2-a-days for a month. And one of those days, we hit up the old country buffet.
OCB?
Yeah. And then after that, we hit up the
yeah.
AMC for some Talladega Nights. That was our reward for doing 2-a-days for like, I don't know, like 3 weeks or something like that. But yeah, I remember seeing that movie.
Yeah, it's a lot more stringent with high school practices these days than it was back then. But you could still do that, especially in football. They do. I don't even know if they can still do 2-a-days in football, but that's what they would do to be able to get you ready for the season. You have to get ready.
Gotta get ready. You got your strength and conditioning practice, and then your technique practice.
You gotta get ready for them Friday night lights.
God damn, I was so in shape in high school, and now I'm so not.
Dude, what does 2-a-day soccer practice entail other than
Just
running?
Fucking running forever. Running up hills, running up stairs, running on flat ground, running on downsloping ground, running all the time. It sucks.
Do you practice flopping, or is that just kind of like a natural in-the-moment art?
Don't tell him, but yeah. You sounded like Guy Ledouche from MXC.
God, what a great fucking name.
Dude, I went and watched that TV show when I went home for Thanksgiving. I watched a couple episodes of it because my mom had some streaming service that had it on there, and it's so fucking hilarious.
Dude, we have a haunted TV set. All right, so the TV in our bedroom, it's hooked up, it's got all the streaming services and whatever, but like every time you turn it on, we have a giant antenna because I live out in the country and our house is built of the generation where you have a giant 300-foot antenna off your house, so I can get fucking stations from all over. Tri-state area.
I can get stations from goddamn China.
Yeah. So whenever you turn that TV on and it's hooked up to the antenna, even though it still has a Blu-ray player attached and it has all the streaming things, it always, no matter what you were watching, no matter what input you were using prior, it'll always go back to this weird, random TV station that plays like creepy old movies and all this weird shit. And then if you turn it on Thursday nights, between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., my TV will always have MXC on.
It doesn't sound like it's haunted. It sounds like it's blessed, dude.
I know. It's like every time I'm like, oh, it's Thursday. I just turned it on.
I don't gotta do anything else.
I know. I'm in bed waiting for my wife to get ready for bed, and then I just turn on the TV and watch MXC. She's like, what is this? I'm like, you never watched MXC? She's like, oh yeah, I think I saw this in college. And I was like, yes. I definitely need to make a D&D character named Guy Ledouche now.
That'd be great. All right, Preamble Ramble time. Let's get into it. Holiday choir concert.
Yeah, so tonight is my daughter's holiday choir concert from middle school. Mm-hmm. Did you have to be in choir and do holiday concerts when you were in like elementary and middle school, or just elementary school?
I was in choir once in 5th grade, and then I never did that again. But I did do like band, and so I had like concerts and like duets like all the time.
Okay. Do you remember? I'm curious, we have a generational gap here. But when I was a kid, we were forced to do choir in kindergarten through 6th grade. And then in 5th and 6th, you got into band. And then in high school, you get to choose. And I just did band. I never sang again. But those holiday concerts, when I was a little kid, were like 4 hours long. You remember? Because like they had to do for us, because they had to do every fucking grade, and it felt like every grade had like a whole album.
I don't remember them being that long. Maybe because I was just like freaking out about having to like do the thing.
Yeah.
But if I was like a parent, probably would have felt that.
Yeah. Well, because
Still 4 hours long?
Oh, not anymore. Because like at some point, I may have been a little bit older or after high school, I learned that they finally fucking realized that they can split it up to 2 nights. So they did like kindergarten through 3rd grade one night and then 4, 5, and 6 the other night. But no. When I was a kid, and when I say it was 4 hours long, I'm not even exaggerating. Like that's how long, like we would go through and you'd have to sit in one of the because it was always in the high school, and you'd have to sit in one of the classrooms with your class and like go ape shit crazy because somebody inevitably had a fucking pocket full of pixie sticks, and you were just snorting pixie sticks and going crazy. And they had Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the wheeled-in TV, and then you'd watch Rudolph, and you'd watch Frosty the Snowman, and you watch Charlie Brown Christmas, and there was one other one. But we'd watch like 4 movies before we got to sing.
And you're just sucking down sugar.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that at that age, I didn't really think about them, how long they were, but I remember at some point, like, in my teenage years, like, looking back on it, I, like, asked my dad, I'm like, were those, like, really that long? And he's like, it's the worst night of the year.
Jesus Christ.
It was terrible. Because you're there for your, like, one kid, but you have to sit through the whole fucking thing with all these other little shitty kids that can't sing and listen to it all.
See, you gotta pull some adult strats here. When I go to a show and I'm only excited about the headliner, I just show up an hour and a half late, and then I just show up for the band, and then I fucking ditch. So what if you just did that for grade school? You know?
Well, I'm assuming people did that, but
It's frowned upon.
my mom was a teacher at this school, so like
That reputation.
Yeah, and she was the nicest lady, still is the nicest lady alive. So
she was the nicest lady.
Still is. I think she's less nice now that she doesn't have to be for being a teacher anymore, but she still is the nicest woman alive. So she, like, that would just be not nice to not be there for everybody else's kids.
That's true.
Because she knew all these families, and she taught at the same school from when she was graduated to be a teacher at the age of 20 years old. She retired from that same job, that same school, for 40 years.
Damn.
And so she not only knew all of the kids, she knew their parents because she had their parents as students. Mm-hmm. So she knew everybody in town. So you couldn't
Yeah.
And she was the lady that taught home ec. So she taught you how to make cookies and pancakes and how to use a washing machine and like that stuff. Like people remembered her because she wasn't teaching them like fucking calculus and she's pissed at them. She taught the fun things.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so we had to go there. Anyway, so I've got my first one. This is my first, since my daughter was little, first choir concert. So
okay. Well, hopefully it's not too bad.
But they don't have them sing Christmas songs or anything anymore.
What?
Yeah, you can't sing. You can't sing like songs about that are related in any way to any religion.
Okay, yeah,
and I understand that.
Yeah.
But what they do, and my daughter told us the songs, and they're all like pop songs, like from today. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that's cool. If it's the things that the kids are excited to sing,
sure,
that's cool.
Yeah,
I get that. But still, I'm like, I don't know any of these songs. Why don't you sing some fucking Alice in Chains?
I remember the song that I sang when I was in choir. The only song I remember was the Grey Haven song, the song that sings when Bilbo and Frodo are leaving with the elves to go to the Grey Havens. That was one song that I remember we sang.
Oh, that's badass. You got to sing that cool shit.
I know. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
All the shit we got to sing was all Disney songs.
Yeah, that kind of tracks.
Yeah, under the sea. I don't know all the words, all them ones, all them fucking songs. All right. So, holiday. I want to continue on the holiday track here.
Let's do it.
Holiday season, and we often really shy away about like complaining about your job, because that's a natural part of life. Is, you know, you de-stress, you complain with your friends over a brewski after work about your job and all these things, and we really have no reason to complain. Agreed?
We definitely have reasons.
We have reasons to complain, but we are grateful and we don't want to complain.
Absolutely. Both things can be true.
Both things can be true. I just want to say, holiday season's amazing time of year. Also, the single time of year, one tiny bit of me wishes I still worked my old job.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking about this with my wife as well. I was like, why is it really any different? I'm making the same amount of videos. It shouldn't be that more challenging. And I kind of figured that it's more challenging because I lose an entire week of work at the end of the month, because I travel home for Wisconsin and I'm there for, I don't know, at least a week. And so I have to crunch in the normal number of videos that I would make at a given time in one less week's worth. And so that's just like really challenging to begin with. But if I were better at planning, it shouldn't be that hard. I should just make easier videos.
You can't manufacture hours.
No. Yeah. And in fact, I'm like running on red anyways. So it really sucks to lose a week. And as someone who's not very, you guys can probably tell, I'm not very put together. I'm not a great adult. I don't know how to plan and like budget my time accordingly. And so I'm often, working weekends and shit. And so to lose a whole week, just kind of makes it a little bit worse. But how was it hard for you?
Yeah. Well, that, like, it's stress. It's like it increases the stress level around the holidays when you want to relax and de-stress, and you don't really have, like, I don't have the family time I did before. That's just the reality of it.
Like, at all. Not just around the holiday season.
Yeah, make it a priority in my life to have family time and do things in the evenings and the weekends as best I can. But like at the holidays, it's like you want to be able to just sit down and spend a day and do nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Or like in a regular job, and this is just my experience from a handful of different work environments, is like as you get into like mid-December and beyond, like everything just kind of relaxes.
Yeah, actually the opposite happens in like other corporate jobs at least.
That's kind of the biggest dichotomy that I see. It's like, oh, it relaxes and there's always fucking treats and people have cookies and people made and whatever, and your boss buys everybody lunch and it's just like
no one gives a shit.
Yeah, you don't set up any deadlines for like, this 3-week period and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so like you feel like you ease into the holidays and you get in this mood, and I do not have that mood at all.
No.
In fact, it's it's kind of the opposite. You're more stressed in a time where you don't want to be. Anyway, y'all, we're not asking for pity. We're very fortunate, thankful people. I just wanted to reflect on that as I've been thinking about that. I wanted somebody else that could tell me that I'm right and feeling that way.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Like, we do sponsored ads for people who want to sell things during the holiday season.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of feedback and they care a lot about those ads. I just had a feedback from a brand that told me to extend the length of the ad by literally 2 seconds. It was 1:58. They were like, we agreed to 2 minutes. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And so I added some gaps in between my lines. I was like, and I nailed it. Exact frame count, 2 minutes long. And I was like, are you happy now? Like, I changed nothing about the ad. I'm not going to add more shit to the ad. It's so close. That was
that extra 2 seconds of blank air are really going to be the factor that someone clicks or doesn't click.
I mean, honestly, I speak too fast anyway, so it's probably good. It was good that I did that anyway.
You can just take the whole ad and then just do the speed like 0.97.
Just stretch it a little bit.
Jerry can order your square spray.
Yeah, my voice just like gets a little deeper, strangely, for the ad portion. That's hilarious. I should have fucking did that. That'd be funny. But yeah, it's it's a thing. It's a thing, but it'll be over. Are you taking a more chill January, or you're just doing the same thing you always do? Three vids.
Yeah, no, not chill.
You're chuckling because it's the opposite of chill.
Yeah, it is the opposite of chill.
What's happening in January?
No, it's like, January is going to be my big ramp up month for trying to crank out as much as possible in videos on my Golden Demon project. So that is a heavy lift for painting. But it's fun videos to make. I enjoy making those. I am grateful that by and large my last 2 years of those videos doing like series with those where I cover various topics that I do in Golden Demon Pieces have performed pretty well. And so now other content creators have got on doing that. So I feel like I feel a little bit like the Wright brothers in that regard.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, oh no, y'all think you can do this? Let me show you how it's done. And so yeah, it's a lot of weight, but also it's something I'm so excited for doing, and it just like my schedule and these other videos and things, it just is like it's been pushed back further than I want it to have been to continue this. So I'm really excited, but it's a lot of work. So
okay. I'm gonna take a bit of a chiller January. Like I see this like weekly video experiment as like okay, this was the initial attempt, and now I just need a bit of breathing room to do a retrospective, and then I'm gonna get right back into it in February. So I'm not taking January off like I have in the past, but I'm just gonna do 2 videos instead of 4. So I'm gonna do every other.
Awesome.
And then hopefully I'll do some planning, and I'll figure out like when I need to start working in January to give me enough time to make sure everything's in motion, you know?
Right. Yeah. You got to grease all the axles and get everything all operating at key efficiency. So when you start, you have as few like bumpy roads as possible.
Yeah. It's weird working with an editor because like I need to like work on a mini and then give him the footage, do no editing, and then start another video right away. And it's like I've never done that in my life before, so my brain is always in this mode of work, edit, you know, like paint, edit, and like that's how I do it. And so I did have that mojo in the very beginning of this weekly content, but then I was kind of dragging my feet because I was like, oh, I got time to do stuff. It's like, no, I don't have time. I should have been painting to give my dude edit the footage so that I can move on to my next thing. So I just got to get my head in that train, and then I'll be good. I'll be good.
It's interesting that you say that because I've been going through the exact same process for the first time for myself as well, and not because of an editor, but because of some timelines and deadlines for like specifically this project.
Yeah,
the one that we're going to talk about that I needed to have things sent over far ahead of when I usually do, and so I was at one point working on 3 videos at the same time.
Oh God, fuck that.
One of them being one that's further out. It's the in my paint jams that I've had with Vince and Sam, painting my Golden Demon piece, all the skin for the stuff. So I was recording and doing all that stuff for that, and I was like, okay, just put that off to the side. And then basically 2 videos simultaneous. The one that just dropped the day of this recording, which is my hobby holiday gift guide.
Nice.
And then all the painting and script writing and editing for this. And I do not like it.
Yeah.
Part of me is just saying you don't like it because it's uncomfortable, because it's new and it's not my regular routine. And that is true. But also because this is a passion-based, like inspiration-based, artistic-based field at its core, what we're doing, whether it's the painting, the inspiration for the video idea, or the writing, those are all like you catch a wave, you ride the wave, and that keeps you going, and that's how your brain is coming up with fun ideas and different perspectives on things and all that kind of thing. And when you're hopping back and forth between projects, my brain isn't smart enough to be able to do that and hop back and forth and keep that positive momentum. Yeah. So I struggle. So I think if you get a routine of your way to do with it, I think you'll be just fine. But
I think you're right. I think it just takes some practice and some rewiring of the brain a little bit.
What about, we want to mention today, RPG Corner. What do we want to mention about RPG Corner, Scott?
That we haven't gotten to play any RPGs lately.
Yeah.
I was supposed to play yesterday, but I had a person sick. That's kind of like the Achilles heel of an RPG. When one person's out, the whole fucking shebang is kind of ruined.
No.
No.
We have a rule. Oh, look at this. We're having RPG Corner without RPG.
Oh!
We have a rule that we still play if we're down one person.
Okay.
Unless it's the DM. Although, I will say, we still play without the DM, but what we do is we take that as an opportunity for the rest of the people that we run a one-shot of something different. So everyone kind of is like always keeping one eye open of a thing they'd like to run and like kind of like, or make up their own little kind of thing. And then we do a one-shot. Could be a totally different game system. Could be, I just want to try out this fun world idea I had. There's an adventure I came across that just seems hilarious or funny, and we run those. If you have if it's noted we are going to play unless we are down more than one person. And part of your group size can dictate that. We play with 4 players and 1 DM. We talked about player size just before we started recording, and I think 4 players and 1 DM is the ideal world. It does make it a little bit more difficult for being down 1 player. If you have 5 players and 1 DM, that's kind of ideal. You can be down 1 person, you don't miss a beat. You do have to, as a DM though, you have to be aware that they're down 1 person, and you have to be willing to slightly tweak how difficult an encounter will be, or maybe even give them these fun, like, side stories, side missions, side quest kind of thing away from your main campaign that still furthers them along. Maybe they get some cool information from this different side location or area, or introduced to fun NPCs. You can have a fun little side quest. So the person that didn't make the session doesn't feel like they're completely in the dark in what's happening, but the other people just have a fun time.
That's a good idea. I didn't even think about that, because I'm doing a pre-baked campaign thing here. If Dan, if you're listening, don't listen to this part. The next session was going to be the end of that pre-baked campaign. And so it has this really big, cool ending where all of the people find a kyber crystal, which is like the main power source of a lightsaber. And so I'm running them through this large story arc where in the first portion they get a kyber crystal, in the second portion they build a lightsaber, and then they'll have a functioning lightsaber, which is kind of a game-breaking item a little bit. And then we'll do another little campaign at the end where they'll fucking hack up some baddies with their lightsaber.
Yeah, they've hit superhero mode.
Exactly. And they need to fucking dominate some people. And so I've been giving them the right amount of XP also, so by the time they get the lightsaber, hopefully they'll be like Jedi Knight level or whatever.
Oh.
So they'll be like ready to like fucking annihilate some like Sith Inquisitors or something like that and be really cool.
Yeah. So I know very little of your campaign outside of what we've talked about here and over lunches, but just from what I know, what I think I would have done if you were down a person and you were still wanted to run that session and you wanted to keep your calendar and lined up right, is the end of your last session. They made a big boo-boo. Two of them done blowed up their own faces. The ship's all a fucking muck. They're just trying to get their ass out of there to survive and then figure out how they can do what they want to do. Now, you did know that they still wanted to get other things from that ship, but now everything's hit chaos, right?
Yeah.
So what you could do is you could have this side session be the chaos of them trying to get back in and get the things they wanted to get, but that maybe isn't the whole part of the next step of your campaign, because I'm guessing your next step is kind of beyond them leaving the ship or doing this mission. And so you could allow them to kind of maybe even explore and encounter the kinds of things that they didn't because they didn't get to fulfill all of that. And you get to add this fun twist of maybe the thing like every so often the ship like just turns, or gravity is like something's fucked up with it because of the explosion, and and now they're on high alert and they got to do Metal Gear Solid like stealth style missions and stuff, and there's rooms that are like full of smoke and like tubes are flying all over. Like you could
the classic sci-fi like
yeah.
Like the gusts of smoke, whatever those are.
Yeah, who knows what kind of
toxic fumes. We're all gonna die.
I
love the gravity idea. I should definitely do something with gravity where like the ship starts to like fucking tilt and they all like kind of do some what's that the movie you watched last time we discussed with
Inception?
Like when they do like the weird like they're walking on walls and like the room's like spinning kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
where the ship's actually spinning.
Yeah, where the guy's in the hotel.
Yes, the hotel.
And then the van in the Dream Within a Dream, the one dream up, the van goes off the bridge.
That's what it is.
And so that bridge is going, and so then all of his gravity's gone. He's fighting this guy in the hallway, flipping around and gathering up the rest of the people in like Ethernet cables, so they're all tied together and don't float away. And
oh my gosh, I totally forgot that. I should watch that movie again.
Scene. My idea of why I thought of that gravity thing was actually not from that. Was I recently just watched the movie, I don't even remember what the fuck it's called, but it's got the main guy from Guardian of the Galaxy, and he's from the Parks and Rec.
Okay, yeah.
It's a space movie where they're like on this giant spaceship and they're supposed to go to this new planet, and it takes them, I don't know, 200 years to get there, but they're in like cryo sleep.
Classic.
and he wakes up. Like his pod malfunctions, so he wakes up and he checks it, and it's like, how much longer do you have before I was supposed to wake up? It's 280 years. Okay, so he's there. Everyone's still in their things. And he's in this whole giant spaceship that's like the size of a city by himself. And it's also Jennifer Lawrence, the lady from Hunger Games.
What the heck?
She's the other character in it.
Okay.
But
I'm looking this up right now.
But anyway, there's a scene in there where they're on a spaceship and other shit starts to go wrong on the ship, and that happens where they lose gravity.
Okay.
And she's in a fucking swimming pool, like they're just like keeping themselves occupied. She's in a swimming pool and gravity stops. And so all the water from the pool goes up, and
cool.
she's in the middle of it. But because it's moving, she can't like swim out of the water.
That's a cool idea.
It's really cool, right? So it's just like, that made me think of that. I'm like, oh, in a ship with the gravity and all these things are coming, and then someone shoots a fucking Go-Gurt across the room. It's just a long fucking tube of Go-Gurt.
It's like all over your face in slow-mo. Passengers?
That's probably it.
Yeah, it's got both their faces on the cover.
It's got to be it. It's sci-fi them. It's like 2014 or something like that. Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
it's not a very good movie. But
dude, if I had a fucking dollar for every single sci-fi movie that's plot was something goes wrong in cryo sleep, I'd be very rich.
Yeah,
that is a classic thing to happen. Did you see Alien Covenant?
No.
Man, the ending of that movie is the saddest, most darkest thing in any of the Alien movies.
They all end pretty ominous.
Oh yeah, like generally speaking, the whole crew dying is what happens in Alien, but man, the fucking way it happens in Covenant is fucking brutal.
I'm excited to see it. I've loved all of the recent ones, even though they have various reviews in there.
Yeah, Covenant is not like a newer one. It is a newer one, but it isn't the newest one. Romulus also fucking awesome.
Oh,
everyone hated Covenant.
Maybe I have seen Covenant. Then.
Yeah, I think Covenant was 2015. Covenant did a lot, I think, for the Alien franchise. It like shored up a lot of confusing plot points in Prometheus. I liked it a lot, but it definitely got hated a bit. But yeah, the ending is fucking brutal.
Maybe I haven't. Maybe I need to watch that tonight.
You should.
Oh, that's the one where this dude is the that dude is the robot?
Yes, so he's the robot in two of them, Prometheus and
Covenant. Okay, so then that's why I thought maybe I'd seen Covenant, because I remember him, but I remember him from Prometheus.
Good old Fassbender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have to watch that one tonight.
Do it. All right.
So, we got, long story short, back to RPG Corner.
Oh, right.
We got a lot of comments in the comment section on last video about RPG Corner. A lot of people talking, giving their ideas and whatever. So we're going to keep this as a soft, like, additional thing as part of this Preamble Ramble, as applicable as going forward. If you're like, that's stupid, we don't care about that,
just skip it. Podcast is long, bro. Just skip it.
Yeah. So we're just going to keep it because that's the kind of stuff we wanted to talk about anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing.
What
do you got here?
The only thing I have is PAX. I went to PAX Unplugged.
But that's going to be the main topic of this episode.
Oh, my God. Okay, it is. Okay, sure.
So,
I got nothing. I have fucking nothing.
Okay.
Hold on, you go. I'll try to think of something.
All right. Let me see. So the video that I did that launched today was about a hobby holiday wish list. Every year I go through this process where I like try to think about some weird things, not like very obvious things that might be valuable for me for the hobby to ask for stocking stuffers or from the in-laws or whomever. And this year I was like, gosh, I'm spending a amount of time in this and I'm kind of like jotting down ideas. I should just like do a video of things that I think people should keep in mind are good wish list ideas for themselves. And so I did that video, and it got me thinking. I'm like, do you typically ask for anything for the hobby for the holidays, or did you ask for anything this year or anything interesting pop up?
I think whenever I ask for stuff, it's mostly like Blu-rays or board games, but nothing.
Board games is adjacent though. That's close.
Definitely board games then, but no minis, no tools and stuff like that. I'm in a fortunate position, as are you, where we get a lot of these things for free from brands, or they're just a business expense anyways.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel a little weird asking for them. But also, I don't feel like I really need anything. I haven't felt like I needed anything for the hobby in a long time, other than when I was at PAX Unplugged, which I'm excited to talk about. This new tool. It's not new to you, but it was new to me, and I really vibed with it, and I bought it.
Toothbrush? Or?
Yeah, it was a toothbrush. But no, yeah, I don't really have much that I'm looking for until I watch your fucking video, though. Spoil one of those items.
Spoil an item. Okay, here's one. So I have it broken up into different sections.
Okay.
And one of the sections is the home improvement store section.
Oh, okay. Where you get the stuff from are the sections?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But this one in specific is because there's two reasons why I do this. One, when you ask for these things, it'll make your family think that you're doing this to improve on your own home. But you're not.
Psych!
Or two, you can ask for, if there's some of these things and you don't know exactly which one, or it's weird asking for a single bathroom slate tile, that you don't have to ask for that. You can just ask for a gift card to Home Depot.
Yeah.
And then you can go reference the list.
That's where they think it's going to be something for home
Yeah.
improvement.
You're
Gift
like,
card.
Oh, right, yeah, I'm going to go get a brad nailer to replace all of our molding on our house. That's not what you're buying. So the slate tile is one. That's a good
hard
one.
pallet?
No. Specifically slate stone tile. So it's got to be real slate.
Oh, for basing
And you
stuff?
smash it up, and it's amazing to scale rock.
Just little sharp, jagged, nice little chunks.
And when that stuff shatters and splinters, it keeps striations, hard striations. So even on a thin sheet, like where it breaks, they'll have this section where it like shows like 4 or 5 little inclines within exposed rock, and then you can use like a hobby paste for like ground cover paste, or even like some milliput or whatever, and you can build one section where this rock is exposed and there's like dirt around it. It's a glorious thing, and it'll cost you a couple bucks. So that's kind of a big one. Another big one from that section are what they call parts storage. I had to look up exactly how these things are labeled. But like these shelving things that have all the little drawers in them.
My bit storage.
Yes. And you use them for bits. You use them for little pieces of cork. You use them for, I use them for like, kit bash ideas and stuff that are like mid-progress. I put everything in that one.
Fun.
Yeah. So then like you can have little project things.
Project drawer.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So like that. And it's like, oh man, it looks like you just got a lot of screws and bolts, son-in-law. I better get you this thing.
You're trying to impress the father-in-law.
Yeah.
Give me a Home Depot gift card, Don. That's my boy. It's like, psych, bitch, I'm painting toys.
Don. What a great name for a father-in-law.
I know. I love that shit. Oh my God. That's so funny.
Okay. Well, that's I was just curious.
You know what that made me think of? So there are some things in your hobby life that you just buy one time and then you like never need to buy it again. I feel like a slate tile is one of those things.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime thing.
And I feel like a lot of the things that I've gotten have come from you. Like I have a lifetime supply of bark that I have a lifetime supply of styrene. I'll never need more styrene.
Yeah.
Like just buy it one time from eBay in bulk and it's like, okay, I'm good. I'm good for life.
Yeah, because whenever I buy the giant package of bark, I bought a landscaping bag.
Yeah, it was like
bark
10 pounds of
from
bark.
Menards. Oh, it was more than that. It was one of those giant bags that you have like it was mulch.
Oh shit!
And I just fucking scooped you out a ice cream pail full.
That was enough.
See, that was great. That's the great thing is like if you have other people that are also in the hobby, you could buy this big shit for cheap that's in, whatever, and then you can like give half of it to one of your buddies for a holiday gift or birthday gift.
Yeah.
And then it's like, double duty. I was never going to go through 20 pounds of bark in my life, but now I only need to go through 10. So
imagine getting a 20-pound bag of bark for Christmas. Someone wraps it under the tree.
Looks like a big
yes.
looks like a big bag of dog food wrapped up.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I got nothing still, so.
Okay. I wanted to talk about Games Workshop female faces for a second.
Is it? Okay, I saw you post that picture of that new miniature.
Yes.
Right? And yeah, is it the paint job though? It's all one flat color.
It is.
And then dark lines around the eyes and shit.
This is a 2-part issue, and one of those parts is their studio doesn't know how to paint female
It
faces.
seems that way.
They don't know how to do it. But I think that their sculpts are also not pretty in any shape or form. They don't understand the female like facial structure. And for reference, I'll put up some pictures right now of this new diorama of it's the same, I think it's the same father-daughter combo they did from before. Like before they were like witch hunters, and now that looks like they're just like fending off rats. And
Is she all grown up or something, or same age approximately?
I think they look about the same age. Old dude is old dude.
Okay.
And but I like this because it's almost a diorama where they're kind of standing shoulder to shoulder, even though you can have them on separate bases. You know, they're very, very cool. I love these kind of just true low fantasy, the Cities of Sigmar models that they do. And so I think these are gorgeous until I zoomed in on her fucking face. And
Yeah, the face is fucking rough.
Games Workshop is unabashedly the best manufacturer of miniatures and probably one of the best, at least at 32 mil scale, probably the best overall sculptors of miniatures. But there is one area.
Hold on, I wouldn't agree to that. The best sculptors, period, of miniatures?
32 millimeter.
Okay.
I don't think there's a company from a design aesthetic point.
From like a company, like
yeah.
perspective? Okay. Because I feel like there are definitely individuals out there that make great 32 millimeter models, but they're not attached to like a company per
Right.
se. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
And even then, I would say it would be hard to. And also just like the vast array of them too. Like quantity is also its own quality in this too, because you can have all these miniatures from all these factions, dozens of factions off of even 2 different ranges, if we're talking 40K and Age of Sigmar, that feel like they belong in the same universe. They're not aesthetically connected at all, but they feel like they're part of the same game. And that is much harder to do than it sounds. And so they're so good at so many things. But here's one thing. As an example, they should go to Kingdom Death How to Sculpt a Female Face School. Because Kingdom Death's females, say what you want about everything below the neck on their females, but they have a subtleness to them, an elegance to them, and not even that they're all young or the same age. They have a wide variety of ages in female faces, and they're more pleasant to look at. They understand the subtlety and not over designing. Because what they're doing there is they're adding too much stuff to that face. Like, you don't have to add much stuff to a female face. You just have to be able to understand the cheekbone structure, the facial structure, and the minimalist design, and let that do the work. There's just extra weird things. And then her ear is like...
Yeah, what the fuck's going on with the ear? It's like part of her jawline.
Yeah. It's
She has
just like
no lobe.
Yeah, there's no lobe.
Yeah, that's weird. I think in general, her face is way too wide and her jawline is super chiseled. And like also her head is really deep. Like her whole cheek area is massive. It's fucking massive.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Also, there's a really unfortunate decision they made here with the hairline. They continued the skin highlight up the middle of the head, and it's like, bro,
It's like a butt cut.
is she balding? Did they shave that line in the middle of her head? If I saw my sculpt had that, heavy metal painters, I know you're really good at accuracy, and you just can't resist just sneaking a thin line wherever you see a gap. But you should have painted that hair color, because that looks so bad when you zoom in.
Yeah, they're just not flattering. Like the combo, the sculpt / paint job on them aren't flattering. Like, you don't need all of, because it's like you paint it like you're painting a craggy Space Marine's helmetless face.
Kinda, yeah.
And that's the problem, is you shouldn't paint it that way. The darkest dark should not get as dark on a female face.
Yeah.
It should be much fainter gradations, and then you can add a bit of a rosy cheek. You can add an interesting color on the lips. And then lips are another thing that, like, they're not sculpting female lips. The shape and that being one of the few details you accentuate on the face is just not done.
Yeah. I mean, I will say they definitely used less contrast on this face than they would a Space Marine face. But, like, I don't know where they're choosing to put the highlights.
And the eyes are painted terribly too,
eyes
which
are
does
painted
not.
so bad. Yeah, it's like they're like staring up, kind of. Like you can see the bottom of the pupil on the lower side, and it's like, dude, what? Like, what is she looking at? I don't know.
Yeah, because
It's not awful, you know. Like there are people out there that probably think this is a really good face paint job, and in some cases, it is. It's really well done. But it gets better than this. It gets a lot better than this, I think.
I just wanted to, anytime we get a chance to do a little shiv,
Shit on
in the side of GW of things, we're just doing it to inspire them
We're doing the Lord's work here.
to get better. Is that like, and I try to look back and think about other female faces, and I feel like they miss way more than they hit on the female face.
That's possible.
Like when thinking about like Sisters of Battle and thinking about like all of the stuff from Daughters of Cain, that there's a lot of fuckery going on in the female face line. And I'm not saying that they have to be this traditional understanding of beauty. I am not saying that, but I'm understanding anatomy of a female face and what makes it different, and the things that you accentuate or don't are subtle, but they're very, very important.
Yeah.
And I feel like they miss that. They miss that a lot.
That was a lesson that I actually learned when I painted a Sisters of Battle face. I did it poorly, and I wanted to paint it again for a video. And so I reached out to Kat Martin, who was one of my favorite painters, and I was like, hey, I painted this face wrong. I painted her to look butch and like very manly. And Kat instantly corrected me, and she was like, it's not wrong. There are females that look butch and more masculine. It's just not what you were going for. And I was like, you're definitely right. There are definitely females that have more of a masculine face. And I'm not saying masculine as like a critique. It's just a different kind of facial structure
Than what you wanted to achieve.
Exactly, yeah. And so I you can paint women to look like that if you want to. That's totally a thing. Especially battle-hardened fucking witch hunters and nuns and shit.
Yeah, Brienne of Tarth is not going to look like fucking Natalie Portman, you know?
Although Brienne of Tarth in Wednesday looks very different than Brienne of Tarth in Game of Thrones. Yeah, I know her name's not Brienne of Tarth. I don't know the actress's name. But, different makeup softens features, makes you look different. Yeah. So, yeah, there are ways.
The point was their aesthetic for that show was to not lean into the feminine.
Exactly.
It's to lean into the warrior.
Yes, exactly. I did think of something. It's getting cold outside.
Fuck.
What's the low? The low for today is like -7 or something.
Yeah,
that's it's Fahrenheit for all you EU.
I think that's like 172 in the negative.
Yeah, it's negative 172 for you EU people.
And also zero is freezing in Celsius because they use logical numbers.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense.
So that would be 30 degrees is freezing for us. So it's like 35, 40 degrees below freezing outside.
I don't think that's how the formula works exactly.
It's not a 1-to-1. You just don't lower. It's not -35, but it's like a -17 Celsius outside.
Yeah, it's pretty dang cold. Actually, let's just look it up. In Celsius. Boom. It is -21 degrees Celsius.
I was close.
He was close. And, things happen when it gets cold outside. One thing that happens is shitty cars
don't like to start.
They don't like to start. And one of those such cars was mine. So I drove into the office yesterday, tried to leave, and I couldn't leave. My car wouldn't start. And so I had Amber come with some jumpers. We jumped the car. I was like, why don't you take the car home? It'll give it a chance to charge up while you drive it. And I won't because it was at noon. I won't get stuck here again at 4 if it, doesn't hold a charge. And she's like, all right. And she had to ship some stuff from the web store. And so she drove over to the post office, which is a quarter of a mile away, parked.
Turned the car off.
Went inside. I go back in the office, start painting my little Kronos Parasite engine, get a call. It won't start again. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. So I had to go over there again, jump it again. And drive.
She could have left it running. Ain't no one gonna steal that thing.
I know, yeah. And our dogs were in the car. It's no one's gonna get in the fucking car with those two big black dogs. But anyways,
Germangadangs.
Drive it home, park it in the driveway, fucking dies again. So I think I got a bad battery that can't hold a charge. But yeah, winter.
Put it in your garage.
Oh, to warm up a little bit?
Well, it's going to be warmer in your garage in general. overnights and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, so it doesn't like drain the battery?
Yeah, and it's much more likely to start if it's sitting in your garage as opposed to being outside.
Don't you think if I like if we drove it home from virtually the office, turned it off, and then try to turn it on again, like pretty much like, I don't know, 10 minutes later and it doesn't turn on, that means the battery's dead?
Well,
probably?
your battery is already low from it being drained that whole time, and you brought it back up a couple notches, but it needs to get warm enough to determine.
Sure.
You're right. So
Yeah.
I would put it in your garage and then see, especially as it's going to warm up this week a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, jumping cars when it's like negative anything or 0 outside is not fun.
I learned just recently that in Alaska, they have these things that they put on their vehicles that they use so they don't do that.
Oh, a trickle charger?
Well, they may have that. They had that too, but they're like accessories that you have full time on your vehicle, and one of them is an oil pan heater, and one of them is a battery heater.
Oh,
So the battery heater is like a pad that goes under and like around or under and up the sides of your battery, and the oil pan heater is kind of the same thing on the bottom that prevent both of them from basically having what you had happen.
interesting. Yeah, when Jeremy was visiting like years ago from Blackmagic Craft, we went to Home Depot. I because we were making terrain, so we wanted to get some insulation foam. And I saw this thing hanging out of the roof, not the roof, the hood of a car. And I was like, I didn't know what that was. He's like, that's a charger for a car. Because they're obviously very common where he is, north of us, to keep cars, their batteries running. So that's kind of one of those things you just don't see in states that don't get very cold. That and sandbags in the trunk, that and a shovel in the trunk, or just jumper cables in your car in general, because that stuff happens if you have a shitty car like me all the time.
Yeah, well, in my truck, I always keep a shovel. You keep your big, heavy-duty middies and hat, and I keep chains.
Chains. I don't have chains.
Yeah.
That's extra. Yeah, the sandbags give you weight, but they also give you traction if you ever need to put sand beneath your tires.
Yep. And I usually keep a couple 2x4s.
It's for more traction?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just as easy. You don't want to try to get chains down, or somebody else is in the ditch or whatever, and you can just wedge in with your foot, kick in a 2x4 on each of the back wheels, and you get back and push and have them go and hope that those 2x4s don't flip up and fucking hit you in the nuts. It's the weird world that we live in, which was like, I think was the last episode right before it was cold that we recorded, and I came in and I said, let's move to Texas.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Okay.
We got a big preamble ramble. God damn.
Yeah, let's move this train down the tracks here, and let's talk about what we painted.
Oh, okay. You don't want to do the rest of these things? What's the doing something for the first time humbling you?
That has to do with what I painted.
Okay, I got you.
And so I'm going to mention it here in what we painted. I don't know why I wrote it there.
That's fine. That's
just a reminder to myself. But also in the after party, I'm going to dig deeper into me feeling like a terrible fucking artist. And the after party is an extended version of the podcast. So if you're a patron of Trapped Under Plastic, we thank you because you help us keep this show running. We literally could not do this without you. And as a thank you, we actually, every episode of Trapped Under Plastic, we have an extended version of the podcast, which includes the after party. And the after party is where we talk about a number of things like new things we tried in the hobby, which I will talk about, painting a shitty backdrop. We'll talk about, we do a critique of one of our patrons, submit your model for us to shit all over. That's great. We also talk about our favorite miniature in the last fortnight painted by somebody else, and we dig into it and why we really like that paint job. So thank you, patrons. Let's move on to what we painted. Scott, what did you paint?
I painted the character Rain from the latest Alien movie, Romulus.
You should have painted her purple.
Why?
Purple Rain.
Chocolate Rain? Oh, Purple Rain. Prince.
Yeah.
Okay, not YouTube. You know Chocolate Rain, that's all?
Chocolate Rain.
Nice. Yes.
Hey, Zonde, motherfucker.
Hey, Zonde. Fuck yeah.
Fucking video game streamer now. Did you know that?
No,
Yeah,
I have no idea what Tayzonde's doing.
Dude, yeah, he streams on Twitch. He's pretty fucking popular too.
Okay, I like that.
Get some more Tay in your life, my friend.
I don't, I like Tay. I have no reason to dislike him, but I don't think I need more of him in my life. I think I'm good without. Not that he's a bad person. All right, I painted some OSL, so I've done OSL before, but I don't know if you have anything like this in the hobby world. I don't care about OSL, so when I try to do it, I kind of just like try something. I just kind of throw it over the fence. I'm like, oh, that's good enough. Move on.
Yeah.
I don't like do any retrospective. I don't figure out, oh, what did I do wrong? Okay, make a mental note of that. Try something different next time. Maybe do things back to back to back to back so you can really figure things out. Like, I don't really do that with OSL because I don't really care about it. But this is the first one where I kind of like was doing things, redoing things, getting feedback from other people. Vince gave me a lot of feedback on the thing. And so I do want to take it more seriously. I know it is a cool thing in the hobby, and I want to kind of figure out where OSL fits into how I like to paint miniatures. And I think a good spot to start is with maybe a little bit more of an exaggerated OSL scene like this is. It's not the most exaggerated. It isn't the only light source in the scene, but it is kind of a bigger one.
It is not Ben Cantor exaggerated.
No, it is not. It is not. But
you did get good feedback from Ben as well. So that's the dude to get the feedback from.
Absolutely.
Fucking master of light himself.
Absolutely. And so I did learn some things. I don't know why I'm holding on to it. But I enjoyed it. It was just fun to work with Jordan Cuffey from Skullforge to take his Rain model, and he repositioned it based on some stupid photos that I took of me, like balancing on my coffee table at home. I was like, okay, Jordan, do something like this. And I'm like holding a fucking plant or some shit in my hands. It's supposed to be a gun. And he took that, and we did a couple rounds of feedback to get the head in the right spot and stuff like that. I think if I had to change it a little bit more, I would change it so the gun was pointed more off to the side, because eventually there's going to be a xenomorph attached to that bullet trail. And then the tail of the xenomorph will attach it to the diorama, which will make it look like they're both kind of like floating.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I think that might block some important angles because it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not off to an angle enough. Mm-hmm. So that might have been a misstep, but very fun to paint that model, learn some lessons. I don't know how it's going to incorporate with the rest of the diorama that I'm building, but I'm not worrying about that right now.
Yeah, it does. I feel like in talking about creating a golden angle, it does a good job of that. Because you get to see a really nice profile of her face. You get to see on this left knee that light point, and you get to see much of the gun. So if this is your golden angle, it's just...
You think that's the golden angle?
Yeah, that's the golden angle right there.
Let me take a look.
Right there.
Really? Not like...
Yeah, you have to flip the wrong way.
Oh, you
there.
Think? Oh.
Because you get to see her face. You get to see the line of her face and her eyesight going directly down the barrel of the gun. You get to see the light on her left inside of her knee.
That's true. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Especially with the big knee.
Yes.
You could even rotate it down a little bit. Okay.
You can do that based on how you set, because you have that flexibility of the angle with just that single attachment point on the tail. Mm-hmm. You can even rotate before you attach it on the base to give yourself that golden angle, because you're always going to look at it. Oh, let's go sticky tack in the bottom. You're always going to look at it like this. So if you want it more like the goal for them to look at it as they pick it up and hold it, you're kind of looking just slightly down in the piece. You could rotate her slightly towards you and have that tail attached there.
Yeah.
So you get to see more of it opened up instead of that knee, right? Because you don't want to look at it just like straight on, because you just see the darkness in the knee. That's not as dramatic. You want to open it up a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So that's just on the attachment of that.
I think you're right.
I would say the one thing that I learned, and this is about OSL, and Ben is a big person that I catch this from, and even watching like Eric Swinson's streams, is you have to be unafraid of going much brighter, much stronger with just laying big strokes of light or even white paint of where that light hits first. instead of trying to build up the light over the already painted surface. So if you paint the whole brown legs and then you try to like softly build up that light, it's not going to be as impactful, especially when it's super close to like that muzzle flare. Go bright first. You can do the blending and do all that other stuff later. But like that to me, it feels like when I do that, like, oh, I'm just making more work for myself, and it's going to be so much more difficult for me to get the true color of these pants that way. But I find like it's like, oh, you're coloring within the lines of the color book is what you're doing first, and then you can add all your stuff later. That's worked for me, and it helps me focus just on the lighting before I figure out all these other dimensions of the paint job that are second nature to me. This one thing is the thing I need to focus on more. So I kind of start with that, and I define that light, which is kind of how Ben works, I think.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do in this one. So I tried to forego blending, and I was just laying down really bright. I was essentially painting with pure off-white yellow, iced yellow on this model where the OSL effect is strongest. And then I tried to blend it in, and then I coated it in orange fluo ink. But I think it could do with some more brightness right around the muzzle flash, right around the gun, right around her knee, maybe on her knuckles and stuff like that to really intensify the focus. My plan was to kind of putz around in this thing a bit more in some live streams, just, you know, because I'm not going to work on it again for another video. That wouldn't be very exciting. But a little bit more work to really intensify the effect. The other thing that I thought I didn't do very well is this is... Okay, things that cast harsh shadows are two things. They're bright, but two, they're small. The reason why the sun casts such harsh shadows is because relative to us, it is a tiny pinpoint in the sky. But also, it's very bright. And so this thing isn't small. It's big, but also it's incredibly bright. So there'd probably be some darker shadows, maybe harsher shadows, less soft blending somewhere. I don't know how to incorporate that at this point. It's like, how do you like cut in a harsh shadow on a smooth gradient? Maybe it's not as hard as I'm thinking, but that's another area of opportunity, I think, for this piece. Some harsher, darker shadows somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just about, I agree. I think that's one of the things that, like, actually, I think just that alone is probably the only thing that it really needs. Is you're going to have, like, even if you're looking at the folds of her pants, that's things that are going to be caught in that shadow, even if they're fainter folds, that you just go in there with a dark line and funk, and that over dramatizes how bright the light is.
Yeah.
So you can't tell that it's really bright because it is really bright, but it actually doesn't feel as bright as it is on her.
Right.
Because there's not that big jump from bright to dark.
Yeah.
And we are kind of accustomed to thinking that everything needs to be smooth and blended. Yeah. And that's not how that works. He's thinking about like cast shadows. Cast shadows give you a harsh line, but when you look at a model that's got a well done cast shadow, you're like, you don't look at that harsh line and think it's just not finished. You think that that's the way the light works.
Yeah.
So, but that's not easy to do too.
No, it's not. You gotta. For someone who doesn't really think about it a whole lot, I was having to really think about it for the first time, and that's how you learn stuff. You have to try it, fuck up, and then do some kind of like feedback loop, figure out what you did wrong, and then try something different. Preferably soon thereafter, because you can remember stuff and it's fresh in your brain. But something that I really loved about this piece was the sewing needle. I thought that worked out so well.
Yeah, it did.
I don't know. I definitely was inspired by El Miniaturista, but I don't know if he uses sewing needles. He might use like hypodermic needles for like syringes and stuff. But taking that muzzle flare from, I forget the name of the company, Deadly Print Studios, and putting a hole in it that was a little bit bigger than the diameter of the needle, it just slotted right in there so perfectly. And it's nice and hard, and hopefully it'll hold up the weight of the model. But yeah, it looks nice. Like I was kind of screaming out of that muzzle flash.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was like you took an old airbrush needle. I was like,
oh, that would have worked too.
Right. It'd be a lot more expensive than a sewing needle. But
yeah. That would have worked too, actually.
I think he uses just thin copper rods.
Oh, okay. I know for some, yeah, he uses also, like, when he does his, like, little lightning effects, he'll, like, open up, like, a copper cable and, like, untwirl it and, like, get those little tiny gauge wires. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works, too.
That's in my hobby holiday gift guide.
Just fucking wires. I love that.
So yes, people are stripping copper for different reasons.
That was my first thing, though.
So I painted this, and this is Nyx. She is a character from the game Warframe.
NYX, Nyx?
Yeah, NYX.
The Goddess of Night.
Yes, and so she's one of the main characters in the game, and actually she is, I learned that from this new expansion, Warframe 1999, and one of the main storylines in this expansion is her. And what I did was, I'm working with the company that makes the game, and they sponsored the video, and it's really cool because one of my friends, Blair, who's actually the guy that helps edit some of my painting footage, he is a massive fan of this game. Like, it's his main game. He went to their convention in Canada. It's just a Warframe convention. Nice. And he like sat in on the panels and talked to him. He has all this swag and stuff. He loves this game. And so I'm like, all right, buddy, you need to help me out. I'm like, I need you to go around the different planets and different things in this game and take a bunch of in-game screenshots of different vistas. Because the character is in a stoic pose. And it's like, it needs an environment. It needs to live in a place to make it an interesting kind of subject matter, just from my approach to painting it. I need to feel like there's something cool going on here. So he took this one. It was actually from the planet Earth, but a lot of fuckery has been going on with the planet Earth, and kind of civilization has been reclaimed by nature and Earth. And so this is a sweet screenshot where he's in like this cave, and he had his character facing the screen, and the cave opens up to this vista below, and there's like these old decayed lines, and there's vines, and there's trees falling over, and you can see out in the like the sun setting with the purples and pinks, like the tree line and stuff, and it was just really cool. So I'm just like, okay, I am going to try to paint that, and I'm going to have him in the cave and all that kind of stuff, and use that to basically influence these cooler lights from inside of the cave to the more warmer, softer lights from the atmosphere behind her. And that influenced how I painted her, where she's very much atmospherically painted. And so we don't have to worry all about, there's a lot of fine detail in their suits and their frames, they call them. Those are their war frame. They're like
proto frames.
Yes. The proto frames is they're like the first frames. The frames in which all other future frames were then made clones of. And that's her proto frame. And there's a lot of really like funky organic shapes and lines on their suits, which are interesting in the small aspect of detail, but trying to just paint those, there's not a lot of interest there. And so to give you hints of those, I wanted to show some of that line and stuff through a gradient of color, because their suits aren't really like colorful and uniform like there's not like a Blood Angel scheme for this suit, right? There are oftentimes a lot of grays and shimmering almost reflections of colors in the surrounding environment and stuff. So it's like, okay, I got to put her in a place. So that was what I did.
Okay.
And I did a backdrop.
You did.
My first backdrop I've ever done.
I love that's the afterthought of the description. Where did this base come from?
That was given to me randomly by Joe Orthober, like the first or second Adepticon I ever went to. And he cut in a slot in the back for a backdrop. So I just cut out a plastic card sheet. I figured out how high I want it to be high. So it kind of, you could see the world opening up behind her. So I wanted it noticeably taller than her, and it just slid right in there. I just measured out, and then I built around it. It's got like, the base has like steps to it.
Yeah. Was that all done already?
Yeah, that was all cut out that
nice.
way. So I just built around what form was already given to me.
Okay.
And so tried to add a little bit of dimension of this rocky cavern.
So you added like rocks to it?
Yeah, the base is all sculpted. It's a 3D printed bits and epoxy sculpt.
Nice. Okay. I think it's a very pleasant scheme. I love purple, blue, turquoise, green. I think they're all like cold, half of the color sphere vibe, and so it works out nicely.
Yeah, I didn't want there to be a stark jump or a quick jump from the front to the back. I wanted them to kind of feel like they melded in the same environment, but you could tell outside is different than inside.
It is, and there's like some of the only warmth on the model is right behind where she's standing on the backdrop, but also obviously her skin tone and stuff like that, and the upper body is a little bit warmer.
I did want to make sure there was more focus on the face and add the warmth just on her face.
Yeah.
So your eye was drawn there, and then it kind of tried to give that little bit of the halo of the backdrop around her with the warmth. But
I love the jean gray like stripe of black hair. And
she's got like these gray, like almost white stripes in her hair. Like her hair is different segments of white and black, and so I wanted to have that, but it's influenced by the light around it. And so that was basically just I did a contrast black Templar doing lines of that for the dark parts, so you'd see the distinct segmentation, but it wasn't just straight black paint that would cover any of the highlights that were underneath it.
Man, the sculpt on that hair is virtually non-existent.
Yeah, you got to make up lines as you go.
Yeah,
but it was. I was a little bit nervous because there's a lot of detail on this model, but not necessarily the kind of detail that's fun to paint. I will say that. So when this video comes out, actually the video will probably be out by the time this episode is out. We'll see how much they like the fact that I'm not a massive fan of their sculpts.
You talk about that in the video?
I don't know. I haven't written the script yet. I have not finished with the script yet. So yeah,
when did you have to have the video?
I have to have it to them by end of day Monday. Today's Friday. Okay. So I have it all painted. All the painting footage is edited. I had to finish the script and record that.
Coming out Friday?
Let's split it together. It'll be a week from today the video comes out.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay. I think it looks nice. I think it's a very pleasant scheme. Those are all colors that I love to use.
Backdrop is what it is.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it in the extended portion.
Yeah, in the after party, we're going to talk about what I learned, and it reminded me of a lot of new moments in miniature painting the first couple of times I tried things. It's been a while since I've done those things.
Yes, that is a very significant feeling.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, what's the other thing you painted? It looks glorious, and it's reminders to me. Like it looks familiar.
Yes, so I'm painting it's called a Kronos, but back in my day, they used to be called a Kronos Parasite engine, which is way fucking cooler.
Yeah.
There was the Talos Pain engine and the Kronos Parasite engine. So this is the weirder of the two. They're both fucking weird.
I like the weird things in the Drukhari army.
Yeah,
that's a good example of a weird thing.
It's weird, yeah. Having a lot of fun. I wanted to. We kind of shit on sub-assembly paint jobs on this podcast, and rightfully so. Fuck them. But no, this one I wanted to re-explore the idea of sub-assembly paint jobs and a few other things. And so this model is really taken apart. Like normally he's got vials coming out of his rib cage, and he has a lower half here. And I decided because it's one model and not like a unit of dudes, and because all the joints have really nice overlapping connection points.
Yes.
That it was fine. I could drill holes with impunity, knowing to be hidden by the model. No issue. And also it allows me to leverage the airbrush a lot more.
Yes. It has very distinct parts that are organic and are mechanical.
Exactly.
And because they fit like a turtle shell on and off, like it's a prime model for sub-assemblies.
Yeah, it felt right. Like even these weapon racks, they were their own part until I had finished both of them, and then I just put them together. So.
Oh, good. I was hoping that was what you did, and you didn't paint that whole shell with those on. No. I'm like, you fucking crazy man.
Yeah, fuck no. But having some fun. Painted the carapace. That's all done. Painted it very similar to my Razorwing jet fighter, but with more contrast, a bit more battle damage, and also some fun oil drips because the Kronos is just covered in holes that are just begging for drips. Also got a cheeky little freehand there on the side.
I saw those blades. It was facing the other way from me, so I didn't see it before. I saw that symbol, then I was like, oh yeah, those are Nice angular fit the scheme of the army too.
Yeah, it's just kind of more that sunray buzzsaw blade design. I forgot to include yellow on the carapace like I do for the Incubi and other people, like little accent armor panels. And so I decided to get the yellow in there with a little bit of freehand. Use one of the decals as well on the other side. And yeah, I'm really happy with that thing. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, I really like it.
And then I moved on to painting the other bigger portion of this, which is his torso. And I'm definitely struggling. And so the other new thing I want to talk about is I did an oil wash on him without applying a gloss varnish like I normally do, like I did for this guy. And I did that intentionally so it would create more of a softer shading in the muscles. And it did that, but there were some learned lessons with that as well. But also I added highlights that were also off-white blue. So I have off-white blue highlights and dark blue shadows and then kind of a normal Caucasian skin tone in the middle. And I wanted it to look dead, and he looks dead.
He does.
But also it just doesn't look very good, very interesting. But I started to add a lot of inflammation with red and magenta inks. And I think that's helping a lot.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that a lot of that interest on the front side of the model is actually on the bottom of the model, his chest.
Yep.
He has this hunched forward pose.
Yeah.
And what you can see when you're looking at the front of the model is his shoulders and his deltoids. And that part is very uninteresting. So I think maybe I need to sink some ink in those shadows there just to kind of continue the idea so you can actually fucking see it when it's on the table.
Yeah, what I'd end up wanting to do is continually put that shell on, just like
Right.
place it and see what parts are we seeing or not seeing. I actually don't think, just my take, if I was taking it from here, I wouldn't worry about adding any more darks and shadows.
Yeah.
I would push the brights and the highlights to that really off-white blue to really over the top accentuate the deadness on the arms and the shoulders specifically, and then that little bit of skin behind his shoulders there, because that's the one. Those are some areas you're going to see, and maybe even the top parts of the collarbone and stuff. And then just leave the inside as it is, because you're right. The inside looks great, and you're not going to look at it a ton anyway.
I know, that's so sad.
Because it is the cool parts. But yeah, that would just, because the foundation of all this, I love the magenta. I love that I can see the magenta, the dark blue dead skin, a little bit of warmth in the midtones.
A little bit, yeah.
And then that warmth goes away in the highlights. I just push that highlight more, and that will make it punch.
Okay, I'll give that a shot. Yeah, and that might also kind of like chisel out the front part. So when you look at him, okay, now I see all the shapes, those big deltoids, big shoulders.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I should put that shell on to see what these little shoulder covers actually cover.
How much they cover?
Yeah, because I might be painting things that are just a waste of time.
So that's like what I was doing, because I'm painting my Golden Demon model for sub-assembly.
Yeah.
And I showed you the picture of like all the wet blend and base coat of his whole chest, and everything is exposed. And then when you put the shoulder armor over, it covers 60% of that. And I'm like, okay, that should make me like, my first response was, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. This is wasted all this time. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, no, that's a good thing. Now I know that I can focus my time on the things I am going to see and really hammer those, instead of worrying about everything that's on there being painted to this level, because you can't see it anyway. And that wet blend from mid-tone down to shadows and influence of colors, them being crept up under there, is what I'd want to be done anyway. So you can just kind of get that same part, and you can realize, okay, I've done this work. Let me put that carapace back on. That also makes good shots for the video of like you showing that and then moving it around. And it's a good learning experience for them, having watched you paint the skin and then seeing what matters and what doesn't. And then you focus your attention of, okay, because I learned that, now I'm going to go back in here and focus my attention on pushing the highlights on the parts you do see more often. So it's a good series of shots and story point for the video.
That's a good point. I'm excited to, like, has this cable that runs along this, I don't know, octopus-like limb. And
Tentacruels.
Yeah, tentacruel. I'm going to paint it. I painted it dark sea blue for now because I want to keep that as a nice little recessed shade in between each of these little metal pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to paint it my spot color, turquoise, so it's going to have this bright, like, energy line that runs along here. And same with the few of the tubes that are attached to his face and his chest. So I think that is also going to help to kind of, like, maybe break up all of, like, kind of the grayish skin tone. So that was my next play. I was going to add the color in to see how much that impacted, like, the whole thing. He also has, like, a face mask that goes on top of this with a really long proboscis-like thing.
Oh, I hate that mask. I like the other mask so much more.
The Talos
Bane
has
mask.
so many cool Bane masks. It has, like, 4 different varieties in the kit. And, yeah, in the Kronos only has the one with, like, the big mosquito thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make that look nasty. I'm going to put some Uhu glue in between, like, these limbs.
Bro,
too.
oh, fuck. You should have told me. Do you not have the dirty down gore?
No.
Oh, fuck. I would have brought you a bottle today.
For what? Oh, I was going to make the gore yellow.
Oh.
The fucking face you just made.
Oh, yeah, but I would have given you a bottle of the snot, too, which is clear, and you can add whatever ink you want to it.
Oh, and that just works? It's just stretchy?
Yeah, it works like the Uhu glue, but better because it's got a longer working time. It doesn't, like, immediately fucking crispify.
Yeah.
And it's got it, when it's totally cured, it has a little bit of a bend to it, so it doesn't just shatter like an icicle like the Uhu glue does.
That's nice.
Fuck. God damn it, because he sent me, like...
Mail it to me.
He sent me, like, a full box of each. They have it at the source. They have both of those at the source, so if you want to do that, it's a good investment.
I mean, I'm all for things that are easier to use.
Because I used
glue is kind of a bitch.
It's a pain in the ass. It works. It works. It absolutely works.
Yeah.
But because he sent me, I guess you'd call it a case of each, because I did that giant Space Marine statue.
Yeah.
And I talked to the owner of the Goblin's Hut, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna need more than a bottle." And so he sent me, like, and in the case there's like 12 of each one.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I got
Holy shit.
Fuck. I should have brought one for you.
That's all right. I appreciate it. But yeah, I haven't seen any Parasite engines that have the slimy shit on them. I'm sure there are some, but I think that's gonna be a fun.
That curve is the perfect kind of curve for that stuff too. Yeah,
exactly. Got that candy cane hook, dude. Easy.
I would say that, like, when I was looking at those, the tentacruels, I like that it really makes the silver pop the way you have it painted right now. I think the more that you add even other highlights and stuff to it might take away from that definition between bright silver and dark. And even so much as to say, if you're adding an extra effect like that gooey yellow, you almost don't want to overpaint it so that is not overshadowed by so much noise that's going on, because there's so much fiddly fucking detail if you want to get into it on those tentacles.
There is. So you're saying, what, I shouldn't paint the hose teal, or I shouldn't make the goo yellow? What are you saying?
Make the goo yellow. That's a great idea. Like a yellowish green, like a slimy, snotty yellow. But yeah, I would either leave that dark blue as it is, or just add like a single line of highlight on the top edge of it, and don't go too bright with it. And don't have it go directly up to where it meets the silver. So you're going to start and stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason the dark blue is there is to remain as a beautiful, crispy, dark line in between each of those little linkages. Yeah, these are a pain in the ass to paint, and I can't wait to paint the other four that are on the back of this model.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's got like a Frisbee with a bunch of those
things
attached to the disc.
4, yeah. Not excited about that. These took a decent while to paint, and so I had to paint twice that amount. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I painted one side of it, now I got to paint the other side, and the other side of the other fucking 3. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I remember so for my first Golden Demon piece, I made a grotesque.
Yes, Running Man.
Yeah, Running Man, and he's basically, it's just 2 kits to make. I made a full unit of 3 of them because they come in a unit of 3 for the thing. So I made 3 of them, and in just 1 box of Vargeist and 1 Talos Kronos kit, you can easily make 3. And one of the dudes he's kind of got like a Wolverine pose where he's like his chin is out and is like he's just like screaming, and his arms are back. But with that pose, with his arms being back, I use the tentacle arms, so they're like continuing that line, but they're hooking up behind him, and it's so fucking badass. Originally, that Golden Demon project was a unit project, with all 3 of them, because they all look so badass, and it would have done better if I could have pulled that off. But pretty usual with competition piece, you just get in way further over your head than you can accomplish in the amount of time, and I just did one.
Are you the kind of hobbyist that wouldn't tear that model off of its current display base and put it into a unit entry?
Because I have them all built. They're all kit bashed and custom built already.
And you have that one. It's painted super nicely. The thing is, it's nice as a time capsule.
Yeah,
this is your first entry in Golden Demon. I think for that reason, maybe it should stay like that. But
I don't know if I can. I got a finalist pin, so I was in the running for a demon. I don't know if you can only enter if you didn't win a demon.
I'm not sure on the rules. I don't think a single one of those motherfuckers would know.
No, that's a good point. But
yeah, I don't know what the rules are.
But Lil Andy did tell me about how I could change my Soul Blight diorama, redo that basically. Redo the scene, use all the models, redo the scene. And that one got the same distance as my grotesque did. So it went to the final 5 or 6, but then didn't win a demon. So if he's saying that, and I trust him to know how Golden Demon works. So
yeah. And this kind of reminds me, when are we going to see the resurgence of the Ninjon Dark Eldar? Is that ever coming back? Are you over Dark Eldar?
I don't know. I'm just gonna give it all up for Trench Crusade. I do, but no, you and Jay both doing Dark Eldar now, talking about bands that you don't like when other people like them. Now I'm just kind of like,
you can't be the third guy.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be that fucking guy. I got the Space Pirate Drukari ones that I really like.
Yeah.
Those guys like that small thing of them.
Corsairs.
Yeah, the Corsairs. Like those guys are the fucking baller, and the kill teams of those are
those are prime real estate for some kit bashing goodness for Corsairs and for Dark Eldar alike. Probably even for Craft World people.
Yeah,
too.
you can even use some great bits from the Dark Elf Corsair kit, the old Warhammer Fantasy ones
with the scaly cloaks.
Yeah, because those models still hold up, and there's a lot of interchangeable things that really work, and they're the same scale. Because I just checked them the other day randomly. Funny you brought this up. So yeah, there's definitely opportunities.
Oh yeah.
The problem is they keep coming out with more models. Now they got a fucking kill team of the little midget people. They got ratlings.
Oh yeah, this is a rattling kill team.
Yeah, and they're eating sausages and throwing grenades, dude. Fuck yeah.
Dude, yeah. Kill Team and Warhammer Underworlds and Warcry are just like great opportunities for Warhammer sculptors to like not have to invest like their entire time making a whole new faction. Just need a little squad.
Yeah, the great opportunity for us to paint awesome stuff and not have to be like, well, I bought $4,000 worth of fucking space dwarfs. All right, we're back from pee break, and before we get into the main topic, I wanted to have Scott take a looky-loo at my wood dwarf army, Imperium Mirables. That is so many dwarves.
Oh, look at them all!
They're tiny little resin dwarfs. It's a full army. I don't know how many models are in there, but it is a lot.
We got to bust one out.
Yeah, take a looky-loo. There's ones with spears. There's ones with hammers, two-handed hammers. There's ones with bows. There's leaders on goat. There's creepy old lady like witches. There's a giant arbalist, and there's like just like dudes manning the arbalist.
Okay, I'll be totally honest here. I thought these were gonna suck way more than they actually do.
They're
pretty fucking good.
They're pretty fucking good.
They're small, but
they are very small models.
Yeah, but because they're dwarves, they kind of like lend themselves to this kind of heroic style, chunky sculpting.
Yes.
So the fingers are good. I think the eyes are going to be a struggle. Like they're pretty small, but like otherwise, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I was fairly impressed when I first took it out. I'm like, oh, good lord, they are tiny.
Good lord.
I wish they would have been scaled up about 10%.
Yeah, because
they're a little too small.
Yeah.
But they are really like well done for that scale.
He also, I don't know if this is the case for all of the miniatures, but on this dude, he has no pupil. It's just like a lower lid and upper lid and then like a gap in the middle. Mm-hmm. I honestly hate it when like Simon does that.
Yeah. You're just like, well,
Gotta make it up.
good luck. It's
like-
called sculpting with paint.
Yeah.
And at that tiny scale, again, that's why they need to be about 10% bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're beautiful. There's so much character even at that tiny scale.
Yeah.
And the quality of the resin I was worried about that because they're so tiny. That I was worried about like the resin casting holding up. There's a dude with the spyglass.
Yeah, the spyglass dude. I love the spyglass dude. Yeah. All right, when's this army getting painted, John?
For speed paint.
The whole army.
Speed paint, yeah. What I
This
can't
could
think of
be-
anything that would hurt my heart more than to take the most like exclusive army probably ever made. Only 150 will ever be made of this, and to use speed paint on them.
Yeah. But what's worse, that or never painting them?
Well, maybe there's a middle ground here. Where I paint one of them.
This one has pupils. The old witchy lady with the owls, she has some. Might have been just the one that I was looking at. This could be your army for Warhammer Old World.
Oh, is that a real army?
Dwarves?
Oh, you just say they're regular dwarves?
Yeah. I mean, they don't have like all the typical armor that you would see on like Longbeards and Hammerers and stuff like that, but no, I mean, no one's gonna fucking say no. I wouldn't say no. This is fucking awesome.
They have natural armor.
Yeah.
They don't need to wear armor. They're-
Well, yeah, Slayers are like shirtless and stuff. You can
Yeah.
have just like a Slayer army.
yeah, they're all Slayer.
Yeah, you love rank and flake war games, don't you?
Yeah, I can't wait to put all these on a stupid little square.
You can put them on circles and then put the circles in a movement tray that has circular holes.
Wow, the technology available to us these days.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, I'll talk about the main topic.
PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged.
It's like PAX, but it's unplugged.
No power. There actually the whole con was just
Lit by candles.
lit by candles, hamster wheels.
What does PAX stand for?
Penny Arcade Expo.
Okay. Were Mike and Jerry there?
I assume so.
Oh, you didn't see them?
I did not see them. No. I did see the developer of Dice Throne, Nate Chantillier. It was cool to see him. He was just running the demos of the game the entire day on the 2 days that I was there, which is cool.
Pulling a Sean Sutter over there.
Yeah. And they had like a big booth, so yeah, it's kind of a big deal. But anyways, yeah, PAX Unplugged. It's in Philadelphia the first weekend in December, although I hear that they're changing to
Our nation's first capital.
yes. I hear they're changing to the weeks before Thanksgiving for at least next year and maybe the ones before that, which makes sense to me, trying to get ahead of the holiday mania.
Yeah, smart.
That being said, they did sell out for tickets to get into the con on the first day. So they're not struggling to move admission, at least.
So they only have it limited to how many people can come?
I guess so. How many people can safely fit in the convention center at one time? I don't know what sets the limit. It is massive. So it's in downtown Philadelphia, the convention center. And I imagine similar to Nova Open, the convention center spans multiple city blocks. And the building is attached by not a sky bridge, but there are like tunnels for each street. And so there's no first floor that you can really walk through easily. It's all kind of everything's on the second floor. And so it's a huge building. And one of the other benefits I'm sure is similar to Nova is because it's right in downtown. There are so many great places to eat food.
Yes.
There's this thing virtually across the street called the Reading Terminal, spelled Reading. But it's like the Midtown Global Market in Minneapolis, but like just a little bit better. Lots of food options, a lot of kind of like fun, snacky, tchotchke things as well. They had some amazing donuts, some amazing pretzels.
You had me at donuts.
Yeah, that was the first thing we got. We got some donuts for breakfast, and then we went in on day one, like at 9:30 a.m. The vendor hall opens at 10 each day. Also, there's like an event exclusive Star Wars Unlimited booster pack.
Oh shit!
For $100 fucking dollars?
Boosties, Bo?
Yeah.
Dude, I won't even second guess that.
I know. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this every day.
So it's random cards too?
Yeah.
Or is it? Are they're set? They've got to be set.
I don't actually know because I didn't get one, but
Oh no! Spoilers.
it was $100, and I was like, is it $100 for a card or is it $100 for a booster pack? I don't know. I wish I would have got it. But every day there was an online submission form that you had to fill out that would get you access to buying one of the things for that day. So every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was at 10 a.m. You had to get on there, and I was too slow. I was like 10:05 one day, 10:17 the next day, and they were sold out instantly.
You could probably buy that pack of Star Wars cards for $800 on eBay right now if you wanted to.
Probably. But they had there was an event exclusive version of the leader that I run a lot, Kylo Ren.
Oh goddamn, dude!
All black card, and I'm like, God damn it, I want it so bad. But yeah, I wasn't thinking right, you know. Now I figured it out. Okay, now I got to be on my shit. So I will be ready for the next time I go to some event and there are some Star Wars Unlimited cards there. Lesson learned. But it's nice to go to so I got a media badge. Me and my wife got a media badge. We didn't have to pay to go. We actually did pay to go, and then they emailed me and they're like, "Do you want to sign up for a media badge?" And I was like, "Sure." Can you return me the admission? And they're like, "Sure." And so we got to go for free. And because of that, there is a media room, there's closets, there are lockers, there's water in there. You get access to the Wi-Fi. It's like, dude, I like big shows. You know, they're nice.
You feel like a very important person. Huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't really making content at the show. I was posting Instagram stories and I had some meetings and stuff. But it was just nice to have those features. I didn't have a hotel room, so I had no place to put stuff that I was buying. So it's nice to have that room to put your jacket down and stuff like that.
What do you mean you didn't have a hotel room? Did you just sleep on the street?
Sorry. Yeah. It wasn't like I was in the hotel that was attached to the event.
Sure.
We were at an Airbnb somewhere more in southern Philly. But it was awesome. It was so fucking big. The building is so big. We were kind of like walking through the vendor hall, stopping at games that interested us, demoing ones that were even cooler, and we were there from 10 to 5, and we did not get through the whole expo hall.
Holy shnikes.
In one day. The plan was to do one day of the con and then one day of Philadelphia, and then we're going to leave. We changed plans a little bit. So on the next day, on Sunday, what it was we went to the con for like another 4 or 5 hours and then finished up the expo hall. So it's big. It's so big. It's honestly hard to tell how many people are there because it's not like you're like shoulder to shoulder with people. It is kind of crowded and you have to kind of slow down and wait for people to kind of walk past you and stuff, but it's not that bad because it's so spread out.
Kind of Adepticon like in the vendor hall where it's busy, but it's not like a mass of humanity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is
It's manageable.
Yes. And they had the same kind of setup where like one half of this massive fucking room was kind of more organized play stuff, and the other half was the expo hall where you could like go and do shorter demos of the games and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of the setup. The first thing I saw when I walked through the big pearly gates was Warhammer had a huge booth there.
Oh,
they had a big paint and take, which I thought this was a cool idea, and maybe they don't do it at Adepticon because there's not enough space. But they had this big area where there must have been 20 paint stations, and at each station there was maybe like 10, 12 paints, maybe a brush, a cup of water, and a slew of free models. And so you would just grab a Space Marine or a Stormcast, the ones you see in White Dwarf magazines.
Yep.
And they would you'd sit down, you'd paint, and then you would move on. You'd be there for, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then you would try it out. And it was super cool to see them, kind of give you that first free hit,
They did that at Warhammer World.
Nice.
For the Heresy event.
Nice. Okay, cool.
The day that event was going on.
Cool.
They had like one of their whole giant rows of table was just that. And as you described that, I'm like, yep. That's exactly how it was set up there. Okay. So it must be kind of they absolutely would have space for that at Adepticon. They have that whole giant freaking corner and stuff around there. They could do it if they wanted to. I think the big difference is doing it at an event like PAX Unplugged is that's not a Warhammer focused convention.
Yes.
Adepticon is. So it's like, what do we need? We don't need to convince any of these fucking nerds to paint and play our games or learn about other cool models. Like, they already know.
That's definitely part of it, yeah. Everyone's kind of already familiar with what they have going on.
Yeah, Warhammer's not the draw at PAX U.
Yeah. And I went and checked out what event exclusive models they had. They have like a whole little section of stuff, and none of them are really amazing. I wasn't like a fan of the particular races. There was one cool female Chaos Warrior that I think you're familiar with.
Yeah,
but otherwise,
I got her. Because they come out with like their event exclusive models for like the year, and then they just keep redoing, or they keep bringing them to all their different shows, and then they usually have some ones from last year and stuff. There was one that I'm sure if they had it, you would have gotten it. But it's a Soul Blight, like white king, where he's got like floaty no legs, but he's got a helmet, skull, head, and stuff. And I don't know where the fuck to get him.
If that was our,
Because he's not. I don't think he's an event exclusive thing. I don't know where he's from, but they've shown him recently, and I'm like,
Warhammer Weekly, maybe.
It's not from being a member of Warhammer Plus though. It's not that. So I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, hold on. Speaking of Soul Blight, speaking of not knowing when things were coming, I saw a little bit of a cheeky vampire leak that maybe you're already privy to because
Is it dude on horse where the horse is going up?
it's dude on horse.
Yeah, it's probably a hero.
Mounted vampire lord.
Makes sense. That was always a thing in
Instant boner.
previous editions of Age of Sigmar. Even that was a thing. You could choose your vampire to be mounted.
Yeah. A long time ago, I converted a mounted vampire lord, and it was anticipation of doing a collaboration with Jazza and Squidmar. We were going to convert the model, hand it off. Paint the model, hand it off. Paint the base. And so each one of us would have done something creative on each of the models. And so I converted this fucking sick vampire lord, and I gave him a cape, and I put him on one of those huge spectral horses. I gave him a massive axe, huge collar, and I gave it to Emil, and then we didn't do that. That's why I have.
You don't even have the model anymore?
No. That's why I have that vampire hunter version of myself, because Jazza had someone sculpt that because I was going to then paint it. I may still paint it because it's fucking hilarious.
You should make Emil send that back. And then
I'm trying to.
You and I can do that video.
I'm trying to.
I want to paint that. I remember seeing that when you had it all sculpted.
Yeah. I have all the footage of this awesome conversion of this vampire knight.
The video's fucking made.
It's basically made, yeah. And I've asked Emil, and he says, yeah, he's busy. I'm just giving him shit right now. Emil, give me my fucking model back, bro.
Yeah, don't be a bully.
Don't be a bully.
What we've learned is that the whole reason that this whole great series didn't happen is because of Emil.
It's all his fault.
It's his fucking fault.
Anyways, PAX. Okay, so played a lot of games. I bought a lot of games. I had to ship home games.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know. We went to the fucking post office and we're like, do you have a bigger box? You know? And they did, thankfully. And we shipped it home. And we did the math. It was cheaper to do that than it was to pay for like a carry-on. Yeah. Because that's like $60 or something like that. And it definitely wasn't that much to ship all that stuff. But we probably bought between 10 and 15 new board games.
Oh my God. That is a lot.
When me and Amber are on vacation, we are much less stingy than we are in normal life. Me and Amber talk a lot about cash and what's worth it. And like when we go to restaurants, we'll buy a thing. And then we always ask the question, okay, was that worth it for $12? Or we'll bitch about how restaurants like charge $5 for a Coke or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when we go on vacation, we're kind of like, all right, just fucking get whatever you want.
Yeah.
And, we had a pretty good Black Friday season, thanks to all you amazing people out there that are buying Black Friday. So we felt okay buying some Christmas gifts and stuff like that. We also don't exchange gifts at all, me and Amber. We just kind of buy whatever we want. And so we got a lot of games. And there were some that I'm really hyped on. I like the game Dice Throne a lot. I've mentioned it before in videos and here. We could demo the characters that I just got released. Not released, but kickstarted on Kickstarter, and the campaign is over, so we could play them. So we sat down, and we played a game of Dice Throne with those new characters, and that was a ton of fun. I got an expansion for Dune Imperium called Bloodlines that adds Sardaukar and these new mechanics and more cards to the deck that you deck build with and all kinds of stuff.
That's just what that game needs more of.
It just needs more stuff.
It needs more cards and shit.
Yeah, it does.
Jesus
Honestly,
Christ.
He's memeing, but it does. I fucking love Dune Imperium. I found, so the company that makes Unmatched, which I think is like the best way to get into miniature wargaming, Unmatched, also makes another game called Thunder Road. Vengeance something.
Is Unmatched the game that stole my idea for Play-Doh Snakes?
Yeah. Play-Doh snake. What the fuck is Play-Doh snakes?
You don't remember Play-Doh snakes? Okay.
I do remember it, but
It's a
I remember nothing
game
about it.
It's a game where you build your character, all these varieties of different kinds of Play-Doh snakes, and then you sculpt your own model out of Play-Doh. It has to be a snake, and then you play the game with the Play-Doh snake, and as you die, you get your Play-Doh snake gets squished, and then some company stole my idea, and they
No.
is that this fucking game?
No, but the models may as well be made from fucking Play-Doh. They're not good. They're not good models, but it doesn't matter. The game is very solid and simple, and you're controlling miniatures, so it feels like a great starting point. But they also make this game that's basically Fury Road, the board game.
Oh.
Yeah. So you control 3 different vehicles, a big one, a medium one, and a small one, and an attack chopper. And basically, you're all driving down the Thunder Road. I know, it's so on the nose. And it's a race, but you're also trying to shoot the other people. But the thing is, if you're the last person left on the last road tile, that road tile vanishes, and it goes to the front of the road. So you need to be fast and lethal at the same time.
I think they had this at Adepticon this year.
Did
I
they?
remember looking and not paying attention to anything or talking to anybody because I tend not to do that. But I just watched them. I watched them moving the tiles, and I'm like, that's a fucking sweet mechanic.
It is, yeah. And so I didn't actually play that version of the game. I played a version called Carnival of Chaos, which is like a new expansion where it's a big arena and you're driving around in a circle and there are like pillars that are coming up and down and you ram people into like pillars and into like walls and shit, and they're like pickups on the ground, like perks and new guns and stuff.
It's like Mario Kart Adult Edition.
Yeah. It's like Mario Kart had a baby with
Twisted
Mad
Metal.
Max. Yeah,
Twisted Metal.
Or Twisted Metal. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay.
And I kind of, when I was there, I was kind of buying games purely off of vibe. I didn't even need to play it. I just knew,
I know whether I like this or not.
I just knew immediately that I was gonna like it. Another game that I did demo, but I also knew I was gonna buy immediately, was called Eschaton. The guy described it to me at the booth. He was like, "You are a cult leader competing against other cult leaders." Heralding the end times and the coming of the Dark One. And so we played the game, and like one of the actions you can take is called Slaughter. And it's just like, everything in that game was just dripping dark, evil, moody vibes. And I fucking loved it so much. And it's like Risk, but like you can you build a deck of followers, zealots, archons, wraiths,
Goats,
goatmen. Of course, there's goatmen. And like each one of them does something different for your army. You draw up a hand of cards and you play all your cards. They all do something, either strength of might, magic stuff, more card draw, whatever. And it's just really cool. And like there was a raffle for this company, and you got a raffle ticket if you bought something. And on the back of the ticket was like an incantation. And so we came back to the booth and we all shouted the incantation to lead into the raffle. And whenever the guy pulled the ticket that they weren't there, he would shout, "Unworthy!" And he would like throw the ticket and he would draw a new one. And they know what they're doing. The flavor is so fucking strong. I loved it. I definitely picked that game up. That was a lot of fun.
So, questions. So you're all different cults, but you're all worshiping the same dark god?
Yeah, you're trying to earn his favor. Like you're trying to be the biggest, baddest dark cult in the land.
Okay. What if you could pick a different god, and be like, well, you guys got this whole dark god thing covered. And be like, actually, on the 8th day, Richard Simmons will rise again. And he will put the dark god in his place.
You know what's so weird about Kiss? They look so fucking hard. They look so hard, but their music is so soft. It's not soft. Okay, it's not soft, but it's,
Beth, I know you're out there. Oh, yeah.
See? What is that? What the fuck is that? Why are you dressed like you're in the hardest black metal band ever?
Everybody is laughing right now from the Goody Peepees because I said Richard Simmons and you thought Gene Simmons.
I thought Gene Simmons, yeah.
Which they're basically the same guy.
Richard has got the curly, fluffy hair, right?
Yeah, he does the exercise
videos.
Yeah. He's a way better dark god to worship too than Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons is just a fucking poser that just wants to make as much money on his own merch as possible.
Savage. Yeah, I don't know much about Kiss other than they look way harder than they sound. I was so confused as a child. I was like, ooh, I shouldn't listen to Kiss. They probably play really heavy music. And I was like, what is this?
Gonna lose your mind in Detroit, Rock City.
Yeah, what the hell is that? I mean, it's fine. It is kind of a rock metal, but it's not as hard as they look. Anyways, there was another company that I spoke to. I think it's Terrible something. I think they're called Terrible Games.
Terrible Kid Stuff?
Yeah, I thought it was that, but yes, it's called Terrible Games. And they have a miniature war game in a box. It's like a little cube, and there's like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 races in it, and you draft 1 or 2 of the races, and they have like little kind of like chibi-esque miniatures. There's 8 of each, and you make like an army, 5 of one, 5 of another. There's a little deployment phase. There are actions you can take. You alternate back and forth, and the goal is to kill your opponent. And the board is like, I don't know, that big. It's a little grid. And it's like a miniature wargaming experience in a box. And it's supposed to be fast and quick and simple. And I got my wife to play it. She played it with me in our hotel room, and she fucking won, dude. She discovered castling.
Oh, man.
So she picked
fucking advanced strats going on here.
I know. She picked 2 factions that have shooting, and in this game, if your models are adjacent to other similar models, you not only increase the health of your model, but you also increase the damage they do. And so she just stuck on her end of the board.
Shot you off the board?
And just fucking annihilated me. Yeah. And it's alternate activation, so I don't have a lot of mechanics that allow me to move other models on my turn other than the one that I'm activating. And so at some point, I kind of figured, okay, I'm just walking into her and dying. And so I tried to figure out a different way of playing, but at that point, it was too late.
Were you playing demons and she was playing robots?
No.
Just a little inside reference.
I don't get it at all.
You'll get it later.
Okay. Not only was she castling well, but both of the factions she picked allowed her to move other models on the model she was activating's turn. And so she had these things called flying robots, and she could move them all as a group of 4 minis forward each turn. And so she was just slowly hunting me down.
Oh, no.
I couldn't do anything, but it was great. It was amazing to see like Amber enjoying a miniature war game and honestly annihilating me. And having fun. And so that was a cool experience as well. I like that game from Terrible Games. It's called Terror Tokens. That was the name of the game. The little models were called tokens.
Nice. Okay, so then my follow-up question to this story is, did you then go back and read the different faction rules to find a strategy that would counter her strategy?
I did not, but you best believe I'm going to come in hard next time we play. You get 1. Okay, you get 1 AMs for free, and then I'm fucking annihilating you.
Yeah. Now I'm going to pick the ones that I'll give stack bonuses to movement speed, and I'm going to be on your face.
I'm just going to fucking dive in.
Just smash you. That's how this works. Okay, you bought fucking 10 games?
Dude, there's so many more games. We bought a game that was a riff on fucking Love Island. Basically, you're playing a contestant in a villa, and you have to find true love. And there are fuckboys, and you have to satisfy the viewership of the TV show because they can vote you off the island and stuff. It was just like the guy was like, if you are familiar with Love Island, you'll like this game. And I was like, I'm fucking familiar, bro. And so, yeah, Amber bought that game, and I think it's going to be hilarious. It's a social manipulation game.
It's a fun party game.
Right. Yeah, it's a party game.
Yeah.
But with a little bit extra fun shenanigans. Now, there was a company that I encountered, and I'm curious if you've ever heard of this company. You ever heard of a company called Lethal Shadows?
No.
So when
the name is vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. Okay.
Yeah, me either. I was actually looking at the events before we went to the show to see if there's any kind of cool events to go to. And I saw that Lethal Shadows was teaching some painting classes. And I was like, oh, this is just some fucking Twitch streamer, you know?
Sure.
That sounds like a Twitch streamer name. No, it's a massive company. And they make a lot of shit. And I wanted to show you some things they make.
You got some swag?
I got some. They hooked me up, dude. They gave me an airbrush. They gave me so many models, a whole paint range. It's
look like AA batteries.
They kind of are not that. So one of the things they make is an aluminum handled paintbrush
Aluminum with replacement tips?
With replacement tips. And I'm like, okay, that's not necessary. But it's like they're taking shots at new stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't tried them out yet.
That is a thing then.
Because it's like, what are you really saving on, you know?
Right. Like the whole, I don't want to give away all my marketing advice for free, but what I will do is say that product will live and die on the fact of how badass, customizable, sweet as shit painting handles you can get from the company.
Yes,
that's what that lives and die on.
Personalized, cool thing. Yeah, you're totally right. That was a cool thing, but really what I was more impressed by were the miniatures. So apparently they have their own, they've developed or customized their own 3D printer and have their own red resin that they use to print stuff.
So it's like recognizable as their minis because it's a very unique. Oh yeah, it's like a blood red.
Jesus Christ, this model is gigantic. I did not think it was gonna be that big. I guess here's Anubis. And
You're Anubis.
There you go. And they had even smaller ones. Like here's a smaller one. This is much more reasonable. And I was just really impressed. I was impressed by the detail. Yeah, this looks pretty great.
Yeah, it is difficult to find nubs on this thing.
Yeah.
On a nubus.
And so they had like, I think their manufacturing method is 3D printing. I don't think they resin cast stuff. And they had like a huge booth and so much stuff.
They make games and stuff, or what do they do?
Don't make games.
If they just make minis, how could we not have fucking heard of them?
They make minis for, it looks like for D&D mostly.
Okay.
And they had that amazing like diorama setup as well. And they do all that stuff too, like dice and dice boxes. And like I mentioned earlier, they're
a one-stop nerd shop.
They're basically a one-stop nerd shop, and they're out of Washington.
Walla Walla, Washington?
Yeah. I mean, fuck you, John. I hate you. But they had so much stuff, and they seem like kind of a larger company. And I was like, how have I not heard of these people? But now I have. And
have they heard of you?
Yes, that's why they gave me all this free stuff.
Oh, okay.
You
could just put it in your backpack and keep running.
Yeah, no. One of the guys who was there, he said his name was Runic. Said that I hosted his stream at one point, and he was like one of the live streamers for this company, and he was really jazzed about this paint product they had called a whitewash. So he gave me some of that whitewash, but I also have more of their paint range as well, and a bunch of models, and an airbrush, and a bunch of little weird hobby tchotchkes from Lethal Shadows. I'm curious, anyone in the comments, you have a take on this company? You know anything about them? Have you heard of them? Have you not heard of them?
Let me see this little one.
The little one is less impressive than the ones that I saw at the show, actually. It looks kind of like a standard 3D printed model, if I'm being totally honest. Do you agree? I kind of want to go get the other ones. They gave me so many, and I'm being dead honest. So many of them that I was looking at on the shelf were like really well-made 32 millimeter models, and I was like, holy shit, this is pretty cool.
This is certainly over-designed.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit rough.
It's a really cool pose, though.
Yeah, kind of like a leaping
close.
forward.
Yeah. Not little bit weird how his one leg is up way too far than it would bend, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yes, cool. But yeah, I might try to reach out to them to see if they can help me manufacture some miniatures. You know. Because I was just saying to you earlier in the show that I think that it's nice to have one resin caster that does a really good job. But I think in the world of making miniatures, there isn't a company that does resin casting as a service that's like very large. I think they're all kind of small mom and pop shops. And so like when I want to order 500 minis, it takes a very long time to get that amount of models, like months and months and months. And so it'd be nice to have other people that I could lean on for manufacturing as well. So I could have, multiple things going at the same time. And these guys were definitely one person that I would consider working with. I'd love to see what they can do with 3D printing a model.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the quality of the 3D prints is really nice.
Yeah, it's not bad. And I love the red. Of course, I love red.
Yes. It almost looks like the PVC plastic from Simon type of a game, but it certainly is much, much, much higher quality.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, kind of a new medium-sized company that I'd never heard of before. So that was pretty cool. On the second day we went, I'm super glad we did this. We finished up walking through the rest of the rows, and I happened upon a little booth with a kind of an older gentleman at the booth, and there was no one at his booth. He was just sitting there on his phone, casually not giving a fuck about how there was no one at his booth. Yeah. But I walked up to it, and it was called, what did I write in the doc? Rose Micro Solutions. And he had a bunch of diopters. And they looked similar to the one that you bought. Or didn't buy. Maybe they sent it to you?
Oh, the magnifiers that have the black...
Like little cones?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, cool. This is something that is definitely relevant to like what I have going on. But they're expensive, dude.
Oh, yeah.
They're very expensive. And the guy... So I was trying to get the guy to sell me on it. I'm like, okay, I can go on... I didn't say this, but I can go on eBay or whatever, on Amazon, and find this thing for $15. Like, what really is the difference between this and that? And he didn't really say anything good. He's like, the optics are significantly better. I'm like, what does that fuck mean to me? I have no fucking clue what that means. Right. And so I just put them on. That you can adjust the PD, the pupil distance. Mm-hmm. There were obviously different magnifications. You can get ones that focus at different focal lengths, so I could figure out like what the optimal length is for me. But for some reason, when I put them on, they felt so much better than anything I'd ever tried on before that were trying to do the same thing. But they were $300 a pop. And he was like, this is kind of chump change. I sell these to surgeons and doctors, and those cost over thousands,
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, product.
So, same as dentists use.
Yeah. And so I tried it on. I had my glasses on at the same time, and they still worked amazingly. And I normally wear contacts when I paint on camera, so it'll work, I think, even better. But the amount of adjustment you can do, I don't know. And also, it doesn't take up your entire field of vision.
Correct.
So you can like look down the barrel or off to the side and not have the magnification effect going on. And it just felt great. I don't know what about it felt different. I'm really looking forward to, I think it's going to show up today, actually. I'm looking forward to getting it and just doing a literal side-by-side, because I think they have a return policy. And I've never needed them, but if it will help me, then obviously I'm going to want to use it. But it felt great, and I'm really looking forward to trying them out.
Yeah, it's not about necessarily needing them.
Yeah.
But it's... you're painting a tiny, tiny thing, and you can magnify it 3 to 5 times so it doesn't look so tiny. Your ability to be precise is just massively increased.
Yeah.
That's it. So the ones that I have, they can set your prescription so it's glasses and then those things attached, right? Or not?
Yes, they have their own like hook around your ears and a nose thing as well.
Yeah. So in mine, they're attached to glasses, and they can set your prescription in the glasses.
Cool.
So you can just like, if you regularly wear glasses or whatever, I don't need my glasses to see, so I didn't have them do that. But yeah, they can set your prescription in the regular glasses, and then that. But they have their optometrist for the place that I got them from, that will whatever you set what you want, and they will make them for that. So I set my focal distance, I set my magnification amount. I had to give her my pupil distance numbers that you get from your optometrist and stuff. So they can get it very specific to work exactly what you want. The issue that I had, yes, and they're super light.
Oh, these are kind of heavy, actually.
Oh, really?
Like they were like 2 little camera lenses, and they were like little chunkers.
Yeah, they are chunkers. It's the thing that I found, and I'd be interested in your take on it, that I found with those is that it's probably an inch thick of that black metal that you're looking through.
Yeah.
What ends up happening that I noticed, because it's not just a single clear lens like the regular magnifiers, you lose a ton of light.
Oh.
So I felt like, even with all of the lights that we paint under, I felt like I was losing a lot of light that I needed to like over flush the area with light to make up for that.
Interesting.
And I just don't know if it's because like you're looking through the basically gun barrels, and stuff. And like, it's not so much so that it's like, oh, you can't even paint with them. That's not the case at all. But the ones that I have also had an optional headlight that goes right between.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's like a fucking laser. It blows it all out.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with color, I'm like, this is nice, and I can really see under like the crevices of the hard to reach areas. But I'm like, it's too strong and focused.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, so I'm like, yeah, that's probably why they have that light on there, is to make up for the fact that you're losing light on that. The other thing that I found is like, actually I had mine sent back because I accidentally set them on the table wrong, and the things move a little bit, and then you can't, you're not looking down with both eyes the same. Again. So I fucked mine up. I tried to fix it myself. I mostly got it right, but I sent them back because I'm like, I need you to overpower these, because I set my focal length at 14 inches, which is what I measured from my forehead to where ideally a comfortable painting position, where I'd like my head to be, and where I'd have the miniature on the desk. So I just like, this is what I would like, and it would be comfortable for long sessions. And that was 14 inches for me. And I had them set it to 3 times magnification, which is the same magnification I use on my regular cheap Sexy Gogs.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that when I paint with the Sexy Gogs, their focal distance is about 7 or 8 inches.
Okay.
You can say, oh, 4 inches difference. That's not that much.
That's huge.
It's massive.
Yeah, that's
it is
huge.
massive. It felt like I was fucking painting the model from across the room. It works. They are so, so good. But I'm like, I need you to crank them as far as you can. Like at least 5x before you send them back.
5x?
Yeah, because I feel like they felt twice as far away as my 3x with my cheap ones.
Oh, okay.
Because you're moving it in 4 inches, you're moving it in 1/3 of the distance. It's like it multiplies how bigger it makes it look in your magnifiers.
So this guy, so I thought I think that's how a lot of them do work. And then I asked this guy that same question. I was like, if we do more magnification, do I have to get closer? And he's like, no, we can change the focal distance. We can change the magnification independently. I'm like, oh, okay. I had no idea. And so he had this huge fucking chart of all these different lengths of focal distance and all of the different magnifications. And it's like, you can just pick one of these. And so I sat there for a long time, crouching down at his booth, trying to figure out like how I sit there at my desk. And, I kind of do a bit of a neck crane, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out, and my wife was like measuring shit. And so I think I got one that's close, but I'll have to probably adjust some stuff. But yeah, they were able to do it independently. And you mentioned that thing about the PD. There was a knob on the top, and it has this nice little motion where you can just twist it and they move in and out. And so it's meant to be adjustable. I think that's what he said. And then once you've set it, then you can kind of crank down on a little nut, and then it stops there.
That's it. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's as sensitive with that as what you're describing.
I'm guessing they're the exact same thing, because this company does the same thing that you're talking about, that they're all used for dentists and doctors and surgeons and stuff. Yeah. It's the same product. They're just finding a different market for the same, probably slightly downgraded versions of the same thing.
I asked about you. I was like, do you work with YouTubers? Do you know who Ninjon is? I was wondering if this is the same company that sent it to you, and like they're like, we don't work with any YouTubers. And what really kind of drew me in initially to this booth was that they had a massive like picture of his grandma, who is Rose of Rose Micro Solutions. And it's like, oh, we've been doing the same thing for 100 years or whatever, 50 years or whatever it was. And it was like this old grandma lady who made diopters back in the day. So they might be a different company, but I don't know where
the Craft Optics is the one that I use.
Okay.
And they're out of Madison.
Maybe they get the raw materials from the same person or something, because they did look like the ones you had.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same. I mean, they don't manufacture the lenses and stuff. None of these companies manufacture the lenses.
Right.
They're just like, they have an in for a different, market. They're just trying to expand their markets.
Absolutely.
For the same thing.
And they should. Yeah, I think that definitely applies. I don't think the average hobbyist wants to spend $300 on those things, and I wouldn't recommend that. But if I'm doing it like, full time, I think it makes sense. Also, that light, they did have a light that came on it, and it mounted right in the middle. Probably imagining what the same one is. That also cost $300. And I'm like, dude, fuck no, I don't need that. That's insane.
Yeah, the full thing for mine was the glasses plus the light was like 500 or 550
Yeah.
for everything. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Yeah, he said it was $750 with the light. And I'm like, fuck no, I do not need that harsh ass spotlight. It's not going to do anything for me. But yeah,
I'm curious your
felt good.
experience. Mine should be coming back to me any day now.
Nice,
I can go
nice.
back to using them again. But it's the one thing is that I think you may have a better time at it than I did. Was I've come to the point where for like the last year plus, I pretty much wear my sexy goggles all the time. Everything I paint, I use it. So I'm used to how they work. And so then putting something new on, it does not work the same way. And so you're just like, oh, it's like riding a bike when you haven't ridden a bike for 10 years or something, where it's like, I kind of remember how to do this, but it just feels awkward. And so you're used to painting, especially when you're painting for a video and stuff, and you don't realize how streamlined you do on a lot of things. And there's just this extra like,
doesn't that suck about YouTube? Everything is so fast paced that you don't feel like you can ever do anything very different.
yeah, any changes can throw you off your schedule so much.
Yeah, that's definitely an annoying part.
Yep.
But that was cool. I'm excited for that. There's also a painting competition at PAX. They were an open system, and they had 2 categories, beginner and advanced. And I spoke to some of the people that were running the competition, and they were like, yeah, we kind of regret not having an intermediate category, because there's a lot of people that want to put stuff in the beginner category because it's their first time competing, but they've also been painting models for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're not bad, but they're just new to competition. And it's like, how do you say no to that person? And so I think they're going to make that change next year. But there were a lot of cool models in there, and there was a Ranger. There was a Wood Elf Ranger from my web store or wherever it was from. So that was cool and awesome to see over there.
Is it the 32 or the full size?
It was the full size. So there's a lot of different kind of models in there. Saw some cool Kingdom Death models, a lot of GW stuff. Level of painting obviously lower than things like Adepticon and Golden Demon, but there was still some wonderful stuff in there. And I wasn't getting recognized as much at this particular show just because it's not a mini painting show. I probably got about half the amount of people that walked up to me at Adepticon happened here at PAX.
Oh.
But when I went to the painting competition, that's where they all fucking were.
Sure,
they were all there. And we were all chatting for a long time, and it was really cool to get to speak with everybody. Also, when I was demoing that one game, Thunder Road, at the end of the demo, the one person was like, oh, are you Scott? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Scott. And then we're playing with 4 people. And the other person was like, "Oh, I know you." And they all fucking knew who I was at that table, but they didn't know it while we were playing the game. It was just hilarious that it happened that way.
I'm not usually. That's because I'm wearing my glasses and fake mustache. That's why you didn't recognize me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. I was wondering about that, about how many people would recognize you there. There's enough nerdy people, especially if they have a painting competition. Those people would kind of would find it there. Did you see anybody that you've seen at other conventions? Any other content creators that you know of? Anybody from our walk of life?
No content creators, but definitely companies that I recognize. So there,
Army Painter was there. I know.
Army Painter was there. I saw Kat. I didn't talk to Kat, but I saw her there. Turbo Dork was there.
Oh yeah.
I've never spoken to that guy, but I do recognize him from a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
The guy running the Warhammer Paint and Take booth, I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of live streaming of events for GW. And he's from the East Coast, and so he was there running that particular booth. I recognized him. And then there was people there was a Shovel Knight booth, and I recognized all those people.
Yeah.
There's that guy with the big colorful mohawk. Yeah. You knew it. I love it. So he was there. I think that was mostly it, probably.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Was there? I'm just trying to think. I suppose Simon was there.
Oh, Simon was there. Oh, actually, Simon wasn't there. Fantasy Flight was there. Mantic Games was there.
Was Atomic Mass there?
Atomic Mass was there. That was one of the meetings that I had with their new marketing rep. And they had a massive booth because essentially it's Asmodee.
Sure. Yeah.
So that was cool.
It's weird that Simon's not there because Simon tries to do their own thing now, and so I don't think they're not doing other people's stuff. And over and going to have Crystal Blush in Singapore or something.
They must have been there, but for some reason I don't remember seeing their stuff. But that con has their name written all over it.
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit strange. All Game Scenics was there, which you probably have never heard of, but they are the same company as Woodland Scenics.
Oh shit!
So
that's their new offspring of trying to hit the hip young crowd.
Exactly, dude. They sent me this box of stuff before the con, and I'm like, this is just all your other shit that you already make, just like
New package, new
together.
label.
Yeah, and like, oh, it's got rocks and grass in the baggie. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. But it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be like easier to use for people who are in wargaming, stuff like that. People who aren't making dioramas. So yeah, they were there as well. I think that was pretty much it for people that I actually recognized. But one other thing that was here that was in greater quantity than you see at Adepticon is RPG content. Holy fucking shit, dude. The well is deep.
Yeah, I assumed that it was more tabletop RPG this con than tabletop board and war games, but maybe it was more of a 50-50 split.
I think it was 50-50, yeah. And then like there was a little bit of miniature wargaming like mixed in there as well. But there are so many cool RPGs that I would love to play, but I obviously can't do them all. But like there's one called Mothership. Have you heard of Mothership?
No.
It's a horror sci-fi RPG that has you playing out a game kind of like Alien. You're on a derelict spaceship, or maybe not like Alien, but like 2001 Space Odyssey with Hal, who kind of is like rebelling against you, and the ship is kind of the evil thing. But the art is so fucking awesome. I went to one booth and I just met a bunch of the artists that did the art for the RPGs, and I got all their contact info because I would love to have them do like whatever shirts, concept art, whatever, anything, because they all were so talented. But like they're all so fucking pretty. I want them all.
Yeah, there's so. I mean, that's the thing is like even it's so different between like a tabletop RPG and even like a board game or a miniature war game. Like it's such a all you do is buy one book, but the amount of investment that it takes for you to read the whole thing, learn the whole rules, find a group or convince your group and prep a thing. It's like it's so many hours of labor involved into just like, we just open the box and we read through the sheet and let's kind of figure out the rules as we go. Like a board game, it's a totally different thing. But like miniatures, a lot of people buy a bunch of that shit instead of not painting it, and they don't play it or don't play it very much. And just the connection of just collecting and buying and owning is a part of that too. But did they have do you know if they had a PAX Unplugged live D&D game that went on that was recorded? Because they always do those.
I don't know if it was recorded, but...
Or PAX, that's what it was called. Acquisitions Incorporated.
Ooh, I don't know about that. That's not familiar. But looking through the events, there were tons of RPG things. And I tried to find the studio that makes the Star Wars RPG that I play. They're called Edge Studios. They didn't have a booth, but they did have a room where they were like demoing their new like pre-baked campaign for Star Wars Force and Destiny. And so I went in that room because I was curious if there was any product there that they were showing off, but there wasn't. Just a bunch of tables, people playing the game and playing the new campaign or whatever you want to call it. And furthermore, there were tons of other ones in the list of events that I went through that you could sign up for and like play through a one shot of like this particular system. You know, Mark Bjork, right?
Yep.
There's a fucking bazillion systems that work with Mork Bjork, which already is a D&D 5th edition supplement. Am I correct about that?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know if it's his own game, but there was so much. They were there as well, and there was a million different systems that worked with that system as well, that you could sign up for, that you could just like look at at the booth, stuff like that. But yeah. My newfound love of RPGs definitely had me wanting to buy like every fucking book that had a cool cover, but I just like it's never gonna happen. You know, I'm never gonna actually play all these RPGs.
Yeah, that's okay to be a little bit more stingy on a decision making on that. But was there more cosplay? There was more cosplay than Adepticon. You see a lot of people in funny outfits.
No, I would say it was probably a similar amount to Adepticon. Really, when I experienced the most cosplay was at Twin Cities Con. Like there was a ton of it there, but not so much here. There was like a Mickey Mouse roaming around. There was a guy.
Random. Lorcana.
Yeah, that was basically it. There was there was a Mickey Mouse who was posing by a Terminator. It was hilarious.
Oh, I saw that picture.
Yeah, yeah. And then you probably saw the picture of the guy who had like a booth of shit like on
Around his neck?
Yeah, he was like selling stuff. He was walking around selling stuff. I can't find it. It doesn't matter.
What was he selling? That's what I couldn't gather from the picture.
I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
he was like, I was like, oh, can I take your picture? And he was like, sure. And he was like, do you want to buy anything? And I'm like, no. I don't know what you're selling. And I think it was just like, yeah, I have no idea. I couldn't even guess.
Dice, probably.
Yeah, dice or like, I don't know, water or I fucking know. Water. But it was cool.
Water bottles.
Water bottles.
Oh,
Cool.
okay. Okay. Yeah, if he's selling bottles of water, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll buy a bottle of water from you. I'm not going to buy a set of star dice for $80, but
There wasn't a lot of random tchotchkes, which was nice. I felt like at the Twin Cities Con and also often at Adepticon, there are like booths that are like here measurement gauges and dice and 3D printed things. And it's like, okay, I don't really care about that stuff. They were all kind of booths that were developers of games. And it was cool because my interaction with the board gaming world is basically whatever shows up at the source or is like top of the list at Board Game Geek, I'll check out. And a lot of these companies, not all of them, were companies that don't make it into distribution. And so they don't get into game stores. They just have games that they make and sell on their own web store or at shows like this. And so it was cool to get to see these games. Like I found a game that was, I think, called Psychic Pizza Delivery in Ghost Town.
of course.
Where you're delivering pizza in a haunted city. And there's a game master who has like a battleship style mechanic where he has a screen and they can see where all the ghosts in the town are, and the people that are delivering the pizza don't know. And so they'll do a step on a city block and they'll be like, okay, how close to a ghost am I? And it's like you kind of give them some clues, and they keep trying to traverse a city while not running into a ghost while trying to deliver pizza. And like that's just like fucking that's hilarious.
That's great.
So of course I bought that game.
It's kind of Battleship. It's kind of God, what was that? What's that game where you have the little different colored pegs? Mastermind.
Oh man, that's a fucking throwback. Holy shit. But yeah, so that was a game that I picked up. I mean, there's a lot of games, and it was good to refresh the old game library.
It's fun to have a variety that aren't such like heavy, deep, like need to know all these things to just enjoy a fun game.
Spend 3 hours playing the game. That's basically when I was buying games, I was like, I want a game that just kind of feels a little bit different. I have a lot of crunchy games that take 3 hours to play. I don't necessarily need more of those. I bought expansions for those games that I enjoy playing. And so another one was like called Fire Tower, where it's about wildfires. And you would think it's a 4-player game. You would think it's co-op. You're trying to put fires out. But that's not how it works. You're trying to burn down the other player's fire towers. And so you each start in a corner of one of the cardinal directions, and there's a fire in the middle of the forest. And you play cards that change the wind direction. Or you have, you know what a firehawk is?
No.
A firehawk picks up burning embers. This is a real animal, and drops them in the forest to start a forest fire to flush out prey.
Oh, so it gets all them bunnies as they're running away.
Exactly. And so you can play firehawks that bring embers to other quadrants of the forest to start new fires. And then, the wind will push it in a different direction, and you can dig holes or whatever they do. They dig out the forest to prevent fire. There's water you can apply, but the whole point is to burn down your opponent's fire tower. And like that, it just felt different and fun. And so we bought a bunch of games like that.
What's a fire tower?
A fire tower is just a big tower that you have in a forest that is meant as a lookout to see when a fire is occurring.
Oh, okay. I just imagined it was like a water tower. I was just like, wouldn't that put the fire out?
Nope, just a regular old tower made of good old-fashioned wood.
Oh, so you can't see the fire anymore because it burned you.
Exactly.
Okay, that seems fun. Those little like just kind of like quirky little interesting things that if you have really solid fun mechanics that move quickly can be a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, and I feel like miniature war games kind of lose sight of this sometimes because the investment is so great, and so the game needs to feel like it has insane replay value. But like games don't need to have crazy replay value. I can play a game 15 times in my entire life, and that's fine.
Yeah,
You
got your money's worth.
Exactly. That's a board game pretty much. And so they don't need to have super deep mechanics. If you can learn it in 10 minutes and play it with friends in 45 minutes on a first playthrough, That's fucking solid. Good way to warm up into a board game session, you know?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, and I think that, like, especially with feels like the advent of the Kickstarter board game industry, it's just like this rising water level of expectations of you creating a game that's like it could be the only game I play for the rest of my life, and I'll be fulfilled as a human being. Like, there's this weird connection of requirements that we have, and they cost $300, $400, $500. So then because of that, because there's so much stuff, you put this expectation level so high, and then it's just like, well, all it takes is one core mechanic or something that just doesn't quite work, and the whole house of cards falls on those things. It's like you put so much weight on yourself for that to be the case. It's
true. And the games try to do all sorts of stuff. They try to be co-op, solo, competitive, have campaign elements, but also one-off elements. And sometimes I kind of just wish they would just pick a lane and optimize the game beautifully for that thing they picked, instead of trying to satisfy everybody. Kickstarter had a massive booth at the event, and it was kind of cool because what they had there was a bunch of board games that were either in development in Kickstarter right now, or had already gone through the process. It didn't exist yet. They weren't manufactured yet. And you could walk around their big booth and like try out all of these like work in progress or at the very beginning of their life like games. And so it was kind of cool to see that. But there were so many games that what you're describing that I just passed up immediately because they were so fucking massive and there were so many tokens and so many cards and the board was gigantic. It was just like, I can't do it. I can't. Anymore.
Yeah, I don't have the mental fortitude at this very moment to sit down and try to absorb everything in a loud convention hall and determine if I really enjoy this or not.
And half people that were running demos had a microphone pack and a speaker that they hung on a necklace around their neck that hang on their chest, just so that people could hear them as they were speaking. You know, and like. They were like as far from you as I am right now, and like they had to be amplified. It was loud. It was loud.
Yeah, you kill your voice in one day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so final verdict. What did you like about this convention that made it unique? What were the things that you think maybe it didn't hold up as well? And would you go back?
Definitely would go back, especially now that it's not in December and it's in early November, I believe. Because that's the hard part about December. I'm already losing a week's worth of work. It's hard to lose even more. Like I wasn't able to work on Monday because I was in Philadelphia, and then I came back on Tuesday, and that's why this model isn't done being painted yet. This is the video for Monday. I haven't fucking finished this model yet. So yeah, it's nice that they're doing it in November. So I'd definitely go back. I would love it. It's just a different thing, you know. It's not miniature painting focused. It's a different hobby that I also love and enjoy, which is board games. And so it's cool to go there. It's cool to see my wife interested in board games. We recently had a discussion about things that we both like because the other person influenced us. Like one big thing for me is like pop music. Like I was the kind of metalhead that was definitely holier than thou and don't like any kind of music other than that. But she introduced that to me. I introduced her to board games. And so she was there having a blast. She bought fucking 7 games on her own. You know, I didn't need to encourage her at all. Maybe not 7, maybe like 5. But still, it was crazy.
A lot.
It was a lot. And she was into it and she was demoing all the games with me. And so it's an awesome thing that me and Amber can enjoy together, which I think is an important thing for couples. Like we don't enjoy a lot of stuff that's the same, but that was one thing that was really cool. And so I think it's special just for that. I love Philadelphia is kind of rough around the edges, but the food there was amazing. We really liked it. It kind of felt like a miniature New York. And so that was kind of one thing that's going well for it. One thing that didn't do well, I kind of wish there were more panels. There was one, even though I wasn't able to go to any, if I was there for the full thing, I would love more interesting talks. There was one panel that I wanted to go to that was called How to Run a Tabletop Company. Not that I have any plans on doing that. I just kind of thought that there would be an interesting conversation to hear. I would love more things like that. Like, the Game Developer Conference, GDC? So, like, they have just... My impression of that event is that it's just all panels, like really cool chats from people who know what the fuck they're talking about. And I would love just more of that at PAX, but there wasn't. It was more like gameplay events.
Yeah, in my head, I had pictured that I had quite a few panels, or quite a few more than what you'd get at Adepticon.
There's definitely more, but they're not all ones that I was very interested in. And even then, there wasn't that many.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that feels like a good rundown and a good convention to go to.
Absolutely. Highly recommend.
Sweet.
Welcome to the end of the podcast.
You got a black screen? No.
Yeah, we ran out of SD card footage in the extended party because it was so insane that we caused an EMP to happen. And apparently it didn't affect the rest of the electronics in the office. Merry Christmas for the extra long TUP episode.
I think what we need in our TUP Christmas stocking this year is a bigger SD card.
Yeah, no shit, dude. Like, we can afford an SD card.
I think we should probably invest in a bigger SD card.
Yeah.
And that is just going to mean we're going to talk for however long that one is.
That's the problem. Actually, you know what? We don't need a bigger SD card.
We just need to fucking...
I love how back in the day, we used to record 2 episodes a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And now we just record...
Because they were like $1.20 each.
Yeah, we just record 2 episodes, but we just call it 1 episode. And basically it's what it is.
We were smart. We just make this a weekly podcast, and we just cut it in the middle of the episode, and you got to listen next week to get the other half.
You know, I'm not opposed to that. Yeah. If you guys like the podcast and you want to see us cut an episode in half and make it 2, comment below. I mean, I'm sure you don't want that. If you do like the podcast and you want to support us, consider leaving a comment down there on good old YouTube land. Tell people.
Wow, that was a good one. Yeah.
Tell people about our show. Tell your mom, your dog, your friends, your dad.
The mailman.
The mailman. You know, he needs TUP. He needs it. Okay, everyone needs TUP. Tell him. Give us. I don't know where this is going. This is the shittiest outro I've ever done in my life. You can give us a review where you listen to podcasts. If you do the audio version, give us a like on YouTube. A lot of ways to support the podcast for free. If you got some cash, send it to us over on Patreon. We'll give out an extended episode. It's about 20, 30 minutes longer. John already discussed what's in that earlier in the show. You can also pick up some of our merch. Links down in the show notes and description below over on Teespring. We got 3 different designs for different kinds of hoodies and t-shirts. And yeah, that's about it.
The next time you see and hear from us will be the future.
It will be.
It will be the year of our Lord's 2025.
Wait, is this the Christmas episode?
I think so, because this comes out like the week of Christmas that Monday, doesn't it?
Does it come out on the 16th? Okay, so this comes out on the 23rd. It's 23rd of Christmas!
23rd of Christmas, that's a thing.
December is dead. It is now Christmas month.
Yeah, the next episode will come out in 2025, so we have another calendar year under the TUP belt. Look at that.
Dude, who would have known this show would last this long?
I know. I know. Not me. I mean, we did it. We did another year, and we appreciate all you watching and listening for as long as you have. And we got another jam-packed, fun year. 2025, TUP. We'll see you there. And until then, we'll catch you on the
Flippity flop.